I'm Jordan, your host, and Team Corey, Edwin, and Udon. With our episode today, we will be discussing what defines a Western RPG. But before we do, let's go around and discuss what we did this week. Corey, how about yourself?
I did a lot of random gameplay videos. I've been, tangling myself up in like retro console cables, trying to get capture card stuff to work. But I did get it to work, and I played some Fatal Frame. I played some Switch games. I played Star Ocean, and a few random like PS2 games. One of them, it was like a random pickup, some point and click adventure game. I was showing Udon from my phone recording of like the graphics of the dude who kind of looks like Golem.
It's fucking dude's eyes bulging out of his head.
Yeah, I can't even really remember what the game is called. I just know that it was like something like the definitive quest for Camelot, and then the game loaded up, and I was like, oh, it's a point and click adventure.
Well, you showed it to me on your phone. I'm like, that looks like a point and click adventure game, and like fucking 10 seconds later, you're like, oh, it's a point and click adventure game. Yeah. I was like, I'm good at that.
Nice. Well, that one I was having some problems playing it too, because like the video cord for the PS2 is kind of like fucky, so it was just the whole screen was going red because there's blood everywhere, and then I'm like, oh no, it's just really hard to see. So,
I guess I mean to clarify, because when I say point and click adventure, I don't mean something good like Sam and Max. I mean something bad like those $20 like.
The like
hidden object games. Yeah,
the Walmart.
that's what I meant.
Yeah, there's 30 in one disc.
Yeah, it's okay. I wonder how. It's like it's the same fucking thing for fucking 40 hours. Just a picture. It's like find the thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Some Helldivers, not as much as last week, but I played a lot of Final Fantasy VII because I want to beat the game before it gets to like, I know that some of the people at Square got promoted within because of like the performance and everything with the game, so I haven't seen any spoilers on it, and with the success that Square is celebrating, I kind of want to see the end before people start posting the videos all over like YouTube and stuff, because like they were saying, like if you're going to retell a story, that's how you do it. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, I better.
It's hurry up. Not to have fun. It's not to relax. It's to get to the end. I need to.
I just got to Cosmo Canyon, and I was like, oh cool, like this is because I'm trying to get to where like the game lets me fast travel again, because I locked myself into like a quest line, so I'm trying to get to fast travel so I can go back and get stuff that I missed. But because I was like, oh yeah, this is one of those things where it's like I'm doing a quest, I can't back travel, and then it's like, oh, this is 30 hours and I still can't go back. Damn it.
A little bit of warning would have been nice. One of those things where it's like, if you proceed past this point, you will not be able to return here for a long time.
Mm-hmm. All right, Udon.
Let's see, what did I do this week? I was helping on the other end of trying to get footage, getting YouTube side going. Mine's just more just like random junk footage, just playing Hollow Cure and Left 4 Dead and stuff like that, with significantly increased success, since I only have to deal with OBS, not a bunch of fucking retro wires and capture cards and whatnot. Other than that, I'm always playing my mobile games. I'm still playing Cyberpunk. I'm almost like 30 hours into it at this point, but I think I'm finally running out of like... I'm definitely one of those people who, when I play an RPG like that, it's just like, all right, time to do all the side content and then go back to the main story when I'm completely overpowered and just walk through everything. But, play a decent amount of Cyberpunk, and playing some other stuff on the side. Got a couple new retro games today that I plan on playing. I'm probably going to go test those out after we're done here. But
it was a pretty good haul.
Yeah, it was really good. I was like I said, long story short, but I live in a place kind of in the middle of fucking nowhere where I have to drive like an hour to get to the nearest like retro game store or any game store or movie theater, what have you. There's nothing around me. But there's a yard sale of people trying to get one of those stores going in my area, and I wanted to go and see what they had, and I picked up stuff. I picked up Ocarina of Time, fucking Sonic Heroes, Lord of the Rings: The Third Age, and Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, because I was going to give them another chance after hearing Edwin praise Kingdom Hearts 2 so much, and they were both $10 each. I'm like, screw it. It's worth it to give it another shot. and play those later. Make sure they're all working. Granted, but hopefully those guys can get it off the ground, so I have better access to retro games. Other than that, not too. What? So fucking funny, huh?
I just picture Edwin like really trying to make sure you like this Kingdom Hearts 2. He's like, if you have any issues, you just let me know. I'm going to give you the most excellent Kingdom Hearts 2 experience.
I'm just glad pricing wasn't such a problem for you, because that sounded like it was a selling point.
Well, kind of. I mean, if it's like, hey, $50 for Kingdom Hearts, I'm like, you can go fuck yourself. It's like $10 for Kingdom Hearts, I'll pay for it. It's worth enough for it to me. And, but it's more like after hearing Edwin saying that, like, you're okay with the first one, you're kind of meh on the third, but the second one is like where you fell in love with it, kind of like echoed how I feel, especially about a few games, but mainly like Titanfall and Mass Effect. And I'm like, well, I'll give it a try, especially if he likes 2 so much. Maybe 2 will be the one where I play it. I'm like, oh, this is why people like this series. Because I definitely haven't figured it out until now, because I gave 1 a shot and got lost in Tarzan Worlds and gave up. So
I played it so many times, I still get lost in Tarzan World. So if that happens,
it's a second world.
That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the second world, because Alice in Wonderland World was the first one. That one was fine, but then Tarzan World is just like, I don't know, figure it out, bitch. But yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. But yeah, that about sums up what I was doing. So Edwin, what did you do?
I was trying to remember. It was just like, I'm pretty sure I already said that I finished Lightyear Frontier last podcast.
You finished it?
Well, I finished. I don't know. I forgot if I said it in the last. You
said you're playing it.
Well, I was playing it, and then I finished it. I didn't know that when I bought it, it was still in early access, so the game's not fully completed. So I got up to the furthest point I could. There's still a quarter of the map that I still can't access, and I've been googling for an hour trying to figure out. I was like, how the hell do you get past the dam? But you can't, because the game's not finished. It was like, cool. Wait. I wouldn't have bought the damn thing if I didn't know it was finished.
Well, I mean, are you having fun with it so far, though?
I mean, I did. I haven't been playing it.
Well, at least you're having fun now. You have something to look forward to when they get around to giving you more content.
I feel like I missed. Which game is this?
Lightyear Frontier.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah. I was there with you. I thought I was the only one as well. That's why I didn't say anything. I'm just going to go with it, but I have no idea what they're talking about.
No, because I know that you were playing it. I just didn't realize that was the game you're talking about for an early access. I thought you might have picked up Power World or something, or whatever that game's called.
Yeah, no, it's still in early access because, I mean, Xbox, PlayStation hasn't done it yet. I don't know if they ever will, but now Xbox has embraced the allowing people to put stuff on their store that's in early. They don't call it early access; they call it game preview, essentially, with a disclaimer being like, "This is still under development." So that's where
demo.
Yeah, well, that's what PlayStation does. PlayStation has a lot more demos. Xbox doesn't have a lot of demos, but now they're just letting people do game previews or early access on Xbox and stuff. But no, Lightyear Frontier was the one that it's a farming game, but the gimmick is the fact that you have a giant farming mech on a different planet. Essentially, it's a neat concept.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, I liked it, but the reason that I got it was because I played the demo, and then on the title it says, "Oh, game preview," and then when it came out, it still said game preview. That's what they mean by early access, but I thought they just forgot to change the cover and to remove game preview. I was like, oh, this is a full game. I was like, no, it's fucking not. It's still early access.
Well,
it was $25, so whatever. I guess I'll have to wait for 3 months.
3 months for a full release?
Huh? I don't know, 3 or so months to finally get past the dam. So I won't be playing that game for a long while.
Wow.
But
I'm hoping. What is it? All the Helldiver stuff that I sent over earlier. The games. I feel like Helldivers is acting like it's also in early access because all the crazy shit they just keep throwing in the game. It's like I bought it, but they just keep adding stuff. It's like,
well, I almost feel like it's a more interactive live service, essentially, right? Because things are changing based on what they're having the player base accomplish. Right, so they're introduced because wasn't the mech thing the release of the mech was because the player base reached a milestone, right? Doing something, liberating some planet, right? So it's like they have the update ready to go, and then they tell the player base to do something, so it feels like something happened, and they're like, all right, you unlock this thing because you guys liberated so-and-so planet, which I think is kind of cool, instead of just like, they're just adding seasonally updates with just random shit dropping, right? Yeah. So I think it's more interactive, more fun that way.
I think it's kind of cool how the way that like players are noticing things, like they're telling us like what they're giving us like way before, like the flying creatures were on the cover. There were downed mechs like in the field and stuff. So it's like, oh, and that's when the new race was showing up. People were like, that video, the dude's like, they're in the first one, and they kind of remind me of Protoss almost. Like an advanced alien. Like they're going to be worse than the freaking robots. That's for damn sure. I think like robots rush you, and I think these things are going to be more tactical when they fight, especially since they got like the shield dude and basically like fighting the Covenant, I suppose.
I guess. I mean, maybe they'll be fun to fight. I think I like Helldivers just playing with friends. I literally don't touch it unless I'm playing with you guys, and it's just to me, it's like Dark Souls. It's like, look at the new enemies. I'm like, oh great, how am I getting my ass reamed by this now? Fucking great. It's like I'm not excited about it. I'm kind of dreading it more than anything else.
Well, I kind of
and then on top of that, they give you weathers.
Yeah. Well, I kind of thought it was like they were like slowly adding more things to it because they were like testing the waters of how well the game was gonna do, considering the first one didn't do that well. So like now that that the player base is growing and it's larger than the first one, they're like adding more things to it just to keep up, just keep everyone's focus on it.
Yeah, well, it's kind of nice because it strings the player base along instead of like, getting a monster, player base and then they all just kind of dwindle off because they've absorbed all the content. You're just like, that's why a lot of people do these seasonal things, which take it or leave it, I suppose. But
that's literally Destiny's issue. Is like they keep doing seasonal things, and then they literally time gate like on the entire like story for like the 3 months of the season to like one chapter a week, just so that way people don't do it all in one night.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. That is an issue. It is by far one of a huge list of issues Destiny has.
Oh yeah, and that's I completely stopped playing it. Yeah. But
people still play it. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, since we're talking about Helldivers, that is what I've also been playing. I've been trying to do like a level a day, which takes about like an hour or two, depending on what mission I'm stuck playing other people with. But besides that, since Udon keeps talking about Cyberpunk, after I finished with Lightyear Frontier, I was looking through my list of games. I was like, what do I play? And then since Udon kept talking about Cyberpunk, and then I played it before, but that was before like all the updates, so it was still a huge mess. I went back to it, and then I have not been able to put it down.
Yeah, exactly, right. They have fixed it. I like how we're influencing each other. You're playing Cyberpunk, and I'm about to go back to try Kingdom Hearts 2 again after you talked about how much you like the second one. But yeah, it's a big fucking difference. It's not like I said, it's not a No Man's Sky levels to be sure, but it's definitely like the game is good now.
Yeah, I was like looking. I was like thinking about like the playstyle that you were making. Like you were just like fists and guns and everything, so just punching people and throwing them everywhere.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm just the opposite. I'm all technical and sneaky with blades.
Like, oh yeah, that's the other good thing is that the game you can play it anyway. Like I honestly can't wait to finish this playthrough to go back and do another playthrough where I want to do like guns and quick hacking, because like I said, right now I'm just like punch person, pick up corpse, throw corpse at other person, and repeat until everyone's dead.
Yeah, it's like
I want to get back into it because I haven't played it in so long.
I never played it, so I have no idea.
I suggest
it. I mean, it has that same like appeal that like Fallout has.
I was scared of it that first launch, and then I've heard that it was getting fixed.
You're not wrong.
The launch made everybody back off, and then
so you're not wrong. It definitely got off on a bad foot when it launched, to be sure.
Yeah, it's still not perfect. Like I still see like characters disappearing for no apparent reason, and then people like halfway underground. But it's like that's like a lot less than when it first came out. So it functions better, but it's still super fun to play now.
Yeah,
especially since they added like all the Edge Runner stuff, like the Sandevistan.
Yeah, they added Edge Runners. I haven't gotten to it yet. I bought it, but I haven't actually played it yet. But I heard the DLC is pretty good. The Phantom Liberty.
Oh, I just got it yesterday.
Yeah, I haven't started yet. I'm about to though, and I'm like I said, I'm about a little over 30 hours in. And I've only experienced one soft lock essentially when I was supposed to go into this menu for something, but the menu couldn't appear. But then all my controls like locked up. I couldn't get out of it, so I had to restart the game. But that was the only one I've had so far. Other than that, the games are running just fine. So yeah. I've been playing it on PlayStation as well, not computer. But
no, I'm just playing it on Xbox, but. I was like, the skill tree is definitely a lot better because you can actually read it better than when the first time they had it because that really pissed me off.
Oh yeah,
and then
probably the most impressive revamp that they did was that skill tree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then they actually added like another skill list where it's the same as Skyrim, where the more you do it, the more the better you get at it, and then you get bonuses at specific levels.
Yeah, it's nice.
That's really cool too. But like I just been playing like the sneaky hacking thief, and then one of my favorite things about it is the fact that I got the mantis blades for the arms, and what I like about the skill tree is that it says that you can like in the preview of using the skills for blades, it specifically says that you can use like a specific for katanas, but it's listed as blades. But the mantis blades also count as blades. So instead of using a katana and using a gun slot, I can just use it as a melee for the mantis blades. So it still counts as a katana.
Yeah, they do the same thing for fists because all your blunt weapon skills also count for fists. Because if you look at the gorilla fists and you look at the mantis blades, they are classified as blunt weapon and blade weaponry. So it's pretty easy to read that it's like, so this should affect this, right? And it does. Unlike most games where it's like, does it affect this? And you don't really have any fucking clue if it does or not.
Yeah, I had to find out for myself. I was like, I'm going to invest in this and I hope I don't regret it. And I didn't. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Definitely a fun more game than it was before.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I did this week.
Nice.
Well, me, myself, kind of the same deal. Been repeating myself, I know, ad nauseum, but Helldivers 2 as well. Finally got myself 25, so now I'm using that exosuit, just jumping around with a giant-ass mech, trying to shoot things down. It's been pretty cool.
I mean, it's not like your extra work has gone to waste. You're the one carrying us through with the fucking mech suit because me and Corey really only play it with you while you're playing it all the time. So you're fucking like more than double our level at this point.
Yeah,
we're just trying not to get stepped on.
Well, that was my next point. It's the notorious step on with the big boot when I'm like just walking across and I see little people scurrying across like they're little mice. Like, and I'm trying not to step on them, but. It does very well shooting down anything, basically. Been able to shoot down those drop ships, been able to take out those bug nests. It's been a lot of help. I mean, obviously, there is a limit to the amount of ammunition you're able to carry. I'm sure everybody is aware of that since when that came out in the beginning. Now that I'm carrying it all the time, it has been getting me out of a lot of bad situations.
Did they make it faster? Because I know that was like
that was going to be my thing. As I would, even if they would not like add like a track to it or wheels to make it go faster, maybe they just add like a little boost to the back where it can just boost you just a couple, every
just
couple
a little bit.
Yeah,
maybe they'll have like a light version and a heavy version in the future or something.
Man, that'd be a cool thing to see. Yeah, I mean, it just like adding a bicycle. I don't give a shit. Like, give me a bike with
just ride a bicycle.
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah,
I think it would be awesome if I could shoot the robots out of the little AT-AT things and get on those.
Orbital drop me a horse.
Break his legs on its way down. Oh, gotta put it down. Sorry. Shooting Seabiscuit. Bam! Continue on with the mission. I'm really, really hoping to see that new enemy coming through. That'd be kind of sick to see that. I mean, obviously, seeing bugs and robots over time to time kind of gets a little dry. But again, like how we say, it's fun with friends. It just doesn't matter. You kind of forget about it. You're usually having more fun when you have friends around. Dying, shooting each other.
I still wish they tracked what has killed you the most, because it's either Corey or fucking Jordan that has killed me the most. It's not the fucking enemies. It's one of you two motherfuckers.
Yeah.
That has the most fucking deaths on me.
Yeah, it's like the game. It's like the game.
50% of my deaths on a planet is because of friendly fire.
It's like the game doesn't
pretty
want
funny,
to take.
bro.
Yeah, like the game doesn't want to say it did it. It's like, I don't know what happened. Unknown. It's like, fuck you. You know who killed me. Don't you lie. It's like, nah, man, it wasn't me, bro. That's you. I'm
have
like,
a kill counter for like enemies and friendly fire. Like, oh, what's killed the player base the most?
Yeah.
And just as an update, I mean, I remember I had the previous podcast we talked about where I was seeing that level 50 guy throwing 500 kilograms. I don't know what the deal is with that. I mean, maybe I'm not understanding it right, but I thought it was a one-time use, and apparently you can just keep throwing that damn thing. So now I've actually been equipping that all the time, and it responds pretty quickly too. It's not even that long to get it back to be able to throw it again. So I mean, that's been actually a pretty cool thing for me to use, just throwing a big-ass 500-kilogram bomb and blowing shit up. That's been nice. It's just a little slow. It's that new orbital strike that I got. I forgot what the exact name of it is called, but literally that thing will target those big-ass enemies, and it hits them first. It doesn't go after a small one by accident. It finds the largest one, targets it, one hit kills it. And I've been using that on those big bastards all the time, and it's been a lot of freaking help, but... Yeah, no, I've been rocking that. Been playing me some retro games as well. It's been a lot of fun with that as well. Doing like the Blue Dragon. That's been another one. I know we had talked about that was one of those hidden gems out there. That game's been kind of cool too. Haven't really had much time to play with it. Been playing another game. Won't discuss it. We'll keep that as a secret. But other games as well. I've been actually thinking to myself, and this is what I'm going to be kind of funny to say, was I been finding games that everyone else has been picking and playing. Now I kind of want to get myself back into Pokemon and trying to find out a game that might put me up to recent Pokemon, but at the same time, I won't be, I guess, too confused with how everything goes. But maybe
hold on, stop everything. What are you looking for? Do you want something on console? Do you want to play it on the Switch, or do you want to play it on the DS?
I gave him 3 suggestions.
I don't care about what your suggestions are. Now I'm going to give him my suggestions.
Yeah, well, he asked me for suggestions, and I gave him like the 3.
You went to him? Ones. You didn't come to me too? What the fuck is this shit?
I told him to ask you as well. Like, I might as well get his opinion too.
Okay, never mind. So it's Jordan's fault. Edwin has my back. Jordan, you're being a dick.
The GameCube one, what is that? The Dark something?
I just don't want something that's like it's too goddamn much rules and shit involved with trying to figure out where everything needs to go. It's a simple like the Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Red, where I just fucking grab myself a Pokemon and I just go to the next spot. I mean, something simple.
Well, that's your first problem. Is you're stuck in Gen 1. We're on Gen what? 8?
It's like
9?
12.
Well,
I mean, 8, 9, something like that.
I get there's over 1,000 Pokemon, but
well, I would already say that if that's your criteria, don't even bother with the Switch versions. They're too open-ended. Just stick with the older ones. Do you have a DS to play them on, or some other questionable means? Oh yeah, you could play the Diamond or Pearl one on the Switch. That wouldn't be
Gale of Darkness. It's kind of a different Pokemon experience, but it is a little bit more like.
I wouldn't recommend Gale of Darkness first. I would say Colosseum is more like on rails than Gale of Darkness is.
Well, the Pokemon Sword and Shield, how crazy is that one? I mean,
it's not too crazy, but it's more like half on rails, half open world section, essentially.
Okay, the 3 that I suggested
the meta is
were
way different than what you're used to because you've been out of the loop for so long. So.
What did you suggest?
The 3 that I suggested were because I was trying to keep it to like main Pokemon with hardly any gimmicks. So what I suggested was Diamond and Pearl, old or new, Black and White, or Black and White 2, and then Sword and Shield. Because Sword and Shield is more modern, but it's less annoying than like the Sun and Moon and Scarlet and Violet. So
yeah,
in the middle.
I would agree. If you wanted to get some kind of the modern taste, definitely do Sword and Shield, because don't even touch Scarlet and Violet. They're trash. But I would agree with that. I would do only Black and White 1, because Black and White 2 is a bit confusing if you haven't played Black and White 1, because they weirdly decided to make that the only like actual sequel game between two games. Diamond and Pearl is a good one. I think especially if you have access to it and you're closest to like Gen 1. Heart Gold and Soul Silver is probably one of, if not my favorite Pokemon games. So if you have a chance, and those are the remakes of Gold and Silver and Crystal. Those are really, really good. And that's like probably the most new yet most old school experience you're going to find in total. So those are what I would say.
Sweet. Well, I appreciate it, guys.
You know
Thank
that?
you so much.
Yeah, thanks for asking me.
Hey, I'm just trying. I'm trying things out as I go, and sometimes I just forget. You know what I'm saying? It's at the back of my brain.
Play Pokemon Snap.
But hell yeah, Snap
Yeah,
that.
Pokemon
Yeah.
Pikachu.
Pokemon Puzzle League.
Section.
Hey, you
Or
Pikachu.
Poke Cafe.
Poke Channel.
What was
Yeah.
what was the Pokemon game that was it was almost like an auto dungeon. It kind of looks like Minecraft.
What?
Have you seen that?
Mystery
No,
Dungeon?
it's not
Just
Mystery
say
Dungeon. There was a Pokemon.
Blasphemy.
There was a Pokemon game on the Switch, and it looks like Minecraft. And
What?
I can't remember what it
What?
was.
Yeah,
We don't know what you're talking about.
I'm going to find out. What,
We
it's
got two
called
Pokemon
Quest.
specialists here, and they're
Are
trying.
you talking
they're
about
down
one of the mobile games? Are you talking about like Pokemon? Like, is that what you're talking
Pokemon
about? Like this?
Quest.
Yeah, that's a mobile game. I think it's on the
Oh,
Switch
it's also
too.
on
That's a mobile
Switch.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I played it. It's like
I was thinking
Legos or
Pokemon
whatever.
Conquest for DS.
That's a weird one. I actually never played that. Fucking Age of Empires Pokemon.
It sounded weird when I saw it at GameStop. I was like, I have
Yeah.
absolutely no idea what this is.
Yeah,
Should have bought it. I'm sure that game's worth something because it's a weird ass Pokemon game, and those usually.
it's Pokemon that
no,
takes place in feudal Japan in wartime.
Nice.
They've done a few of those with other franchises. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is about like the Dynasty Warrior games, but they usually get their hands on something. They're like
But,
the easiest to obtain licenses for things. Just-
well, it's not Dynasty Warriors. I'm just saying it takes place in feudal Japan. Like it's like back in time Pokemon.
is it like a what is it called? Pokemon.
Pokemon Conquest is on the DS.
Okay. Pokemon Conquest. Oh shit. Oh, it's literally made by the Pokemon Company. Oh, it is. Yeah, these are I've seen that
Pokemon
character
Company.
before.
Who else was
The
going to
Pokemon
make
game
it?
Made by
the
Nestle.
Pokemon Company.
No, it's weird
Yeah.
because like you'd think that it was like a third party developer, but it's like a first party product of theirs. Like
Yeah.
it just surprises me because to me it sounds like something they'd approach Koei Tecmo for and be like, hey, can you make us one of your historical Japanese war games? And they're like, we got you. We do that for everyone.
You got you, fam.
Wait, isn't that just going to be the Pokemon Legends ZA? Because the whole X and Y story was a war of Pokemon. So is that just what we're going to be in? It's just in the middle
That'd be
of a war?
cool. Not gonna lie, I'd be more into it if that was the idea. We're just gonna be like in hardcore, like fucking feuding era of Japan, wartime with all the fucking shoguns and shit.
Murder.
Fucking go back to the Oda Nobunaga era, like warring states of Japan. That'd be
He was like,
crazy.
yeah, my Bisharp is definitely going to cut you.
It's just real death all the time.
Just lots of Gyarados.
Yeah, fucking hyper beaming, blowing shit up, killing things.
Right. Okay, we need
right.
to move on because we're tackling a big
Yeah.
subject
Yeah.
today.
All right, so now that we have discussed what we did this weekend, we have a special guest today.
Yeah, it's
Corey.
Angie. Angie, my wife is she's playing the new Peach game that I picked up last week, and she wanted to kind of tell us her thoughts about it. If she can get her mic to work.
Technical difficulties.
Things we should have tested prior to. But yeah,
Yeah,
when I saw the Peach game, I guess I was more like, at least this looks more interesting than when her game was what I forget. I think it was just called Super Princess Peach on the DS, right? That was like her last time that Peach has had like a
That game was
standalone
awesome.
game. Well, I mean, it was fine. It was just easy. It's like Kirby, It's just like you literally press, angry Peach and you're invincible. Like the game is really basic.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
I hear
I think
you.
you just
mine
switching
had
headphones.
I had to use his. I do have headphones on though, so I can hear you guys.
Sweet.
But yeah, I've been playing Princess Peach, and I did play the Super Princess Peach on the DS when it came out a while ago, and that was always super fun. So I'm really glad that they came out with another Peach because I've been waiting for one since forever.
Like everyone
it's
else,
super
we've all
fun,
been waiting
actually.
for it.
What was that?
I think a lot of people have been waiting for another Princess
I mean, it
Peach
definitely
game.
looks more involved than Super Princess Peach for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Because you use this ribbon and you like
Now, is it like an
turn up
action
people,
game,
I
or is
guess?
it like you like solving puzzles with all the different costumes and stuff? Because that's the gimmick, right? She gets a bunch of different costumes. It is almost like Kirby now that I think about it. You get a bunch of different like
It
powers
is
with your
very
costumes, right?
Kirby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels more like Kirby than it does any Mario, and that's why I like it so much actually. Because
Mhm.
Kirby is awesome. And it's simple, but I did die for the first time today, so you will see.
Oh, what a horrible
But
experience.
it's you know.
There's murder. Murder confirmed.
How many?
Yeah, but it's
Oh, I was gonna say how many
many?
how many hours do you think you can get out of that game itself?
I think it's similar. I've only finished the first floor, which is 4 levels, and boss. So then I have to go to the second floor to go to the next. I don't know if it's 4 levels or what, but I'm a completionist, and you have to collect these stars to get to the bad guy's door.
Are you fighting Bowser
And
still?
no, it's actually a new enemy.
Oh, is Mario involved in like any way, or is it just Peach?
No, it's just Peach.
Oh, okay.
No
Fine
one
with
gets
that.
kidnapped or anything. It's like the little citizens. They're not. It's not even the Toad people.
The Toads.
They're not the Toads. It's the I think they're called Feeples or something. It's like a really weird name, but they're just like these tiny little yellow characters with like gigantic noses, and they're blue. And then if they're blue, you have to use your ribbon to turn them yellow, and they start glowing.
Because
Oh.
I think the whole game, like you're performing on a stage,
Yeah,
so it kind of has like this other mechanic going forward of like the better you're doing, the better the like stuff around you's happening or something like that.
well, the bad guy took over the theater.
As
So-
one does.
Yeah, they took over the theater, and then they turned like all the bad guys, into purple characters depending on the theme. So like in the when you have to be the how do you say the patisserie when you're
Oh,
like the
the
pastry
baker?
chef? Yeah, when you're like the baker, you have no. You have to bake cookies because the enemy took away the cookies. They have like these birds that take away the cookies and the people, and so you have to make
Bastards.
cookies. And then for the ninja one, it's the ninja bad guy stealing the scrolls. So then you have to make everyone happy, get to the level, get your ninja costume, and then you use your ninja skills to like hop walls and fight and get the samurai guys. And
So,
then you beat
like,
the
is
final
the
boss.
objective of the level, like, the objective of the game kind of like rescue these new little creatures or something like that? Or is it just to, like, reach the end of the stage or what? Like, how do you progress level to level?
Yeah, you have to reach the end of the stage. So during the stages, you collect coins, which apparently you lose when you die. I found that out. So I lost 10 coins when I died the first time. I was like, I lose coins? This is Sonic now. And then the stars would help you get the little star character that's next to you. I forgot her name. But
Oh, you
you
have a
help
little
her, and
is
then
it
she's the one
is
that
like
opens the doors.
it's like Cappy from Odyssey, but like a new character for Peach, like your little buddy.
companion that gives you
Yeah.
power or something.
Yeah, she uses the ribbon. She gave you the ribbon, so your hair was actually down, and then they stole your crown. That's another thing too. They stole your crown. So Peach
How
doesn't have a
dare.
crown with her because they took it.
I feel
No
like
longer the
that's
monarch.
Mario's thing, right? Is like the companion in every Mario game. It's like, no, I'm not leaving your side because I'm taking it back when you're done. This isn't something you have anymore. It's like, no.
Or you can just be
Now you
Flood
have
and
no
die.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
No.
It kind of sounds like all the Paper Mario games where like your whole game is just a show for an audience
Pretty much.
that you can't see unless you're fighting.
You can't see them when you're fighting either, but it's really cool because all the enemies have like strings put on them, so it's like they're puppets. Because you're the bad guy puppeting them. It's not the people on stage. It's the puppets or the bad guys. So you always
some
have those
scissors.
strings that you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, just get scissors. I don't have scissors. I think the ninja one, that's the thing though, they tumble and fall. So when you beat them, they just fall and disappear
hmm
and turn into like little smoke or whatever.
So, question:
Nintendo's so
Are you
good
having
about
fun with it?
games.
Yeah. I'm having a blast. I love it.
All right, well, there you go.
So yeah, stamp of approval.
Yeah, Stamp of Approval. It's super fun. I like the girly like collector's items, which are like so each level when you have to collect this ribbon before the end of the level, and then you get a new design on your pink dress. So for the ninja one, I got like these flowers with like the Japanese style clouds on them.
Ooh.
So you just put that on, but they're all pink because it matches with your dress. But you just put that on top of your dress, so it's like a themed dress. But it's still like pink. It just has these little designs on them. Like there's a rose, I think, was for the patisserie one. But it's I like those little like extra collectible items. But yeah, to get through the game, you just have to beat the level. You beat the final boss in that level. The thread was broken, and then you finish all of them, and then the bad guy door opens, and that's to that first level. And then you beat that after giving Sparkle, or whatever the name is, the Sparkles in order to open it up, and then done.
It's safe to say that, like, I guess a synopsis is like, if you like Kirby games, you'd probably like this because it's not like super demanding. It's like chill and relax. Like the game isn't probably gonna ask you too much of you. It's just there to enjoy and relax, and basically like it's not gonna. You don't have to worry about having to sweat over anything too much, right?
No, 100%.
Yeah, it very much seems like a game that like will capitalize on replayability because of how kind of simple it is for you to just pick it up and run it back. Kind of like Mario 3D Worlds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can't get into Mario 3D World. That's why I feel like I'm picky. Like it has to be more Kirby than it has to be Mario.
I think they were trying to really give it an identifying, like a much more unique identity to it than when Super Princess Peach was on the DS. Like it's its own game. It doesn't feel like watered down Mario. It just feels like its own thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like Luigi gets his own little like ghost hunting game. Peach is going to have like this thing, and you know it's kind of nice to expand on the characters a bit.
Yeah.
Especially
now we just gotta wait
Wario.
for our Waluigi game.
Yeah. Well, oh yeah.
Those
I
Waluigi
thought
games
you
are
said
fun.
the Wario because Wario.
Wario has his games. Waluigi don't get shit, and I guess Daisy doesn't have anything either.
Waluigi just
Even Yoshi
hang out
has
with
something.
them whenever they're playing sports together.
Yeah.
Or having a party.
He's that weird friend that only gets invited to group occasions because no one wants to hang out with him otherwise.
he needs a ride to the picnic. Like, oh, God.
Life isn't going well for him.
Yeah.
Bad wah. It sounds like the Princess Peach game is like going through the same changes as Paper Mario is now, where the director for Paper Mario specifically said every single Paper Mario game is going to be different from the last. Like,
and I want to slap that man in the face. Also, he lied because the first two are so alike to each other.
That's like from then on.
Yeah, well, he made a fucking mistake, didn't he?
Yeah,
it's like Super Paper Mario's okay. Like I still like the writing, gameplay kind of sucks. Everything after it sucks ass. So he made a mistake when he said that.
Sticker Star is unforgivable.
Of it, you know, because I liked Mario RPG and then Paper Mario. It's like, oh, cool, like Thousand Year Door is really fun, and they're like, let's just not do that again. And like, but
yeah,
I hate money.
Mario for the Wii. That's my favorite.
Well, like
that's the Super Paper Mario. Like I said, I don't hate Super Paper Mario. I think the writing is at least still there. Like everyone's still fun and stuff. But like the fucking gameplay switching from like really cool turn-based RPG style to just like play Bowser and win, it's not interesting.
Yeah, that's why I like it though, because I'm that RPG.
Then there you go.
In the newest Paper Mario game too, I was seeing like them talking about how like the writing is kind of fun, but like a lot of like it has a hub world or something. You played it, right, Edwin?
Origami King, yeah.
Yeah, there's like a hub, and then like NPCs are there, and they kind of just say the same thing over and over again. There's no like evolution in their character.
The last one I played was Sticker Star, and that one sucked ass.
Yeah, no, Sticker Star sucks ass, but Origami King is definitely better. It is a hub world. I was like, I almost forgot, but it is a hub world. It's really open, and the environment is awesome. Granted, each area is long as hell, though, so you're going to be playing that game for a long while, specifically just by walking. But there are like shortcuts and stuff. But probably the stalest thing about it is the combat, because the combat is pretty straightforward and it's not really that difficult. It's just more like puzzle solving. But essentially, you can kill like 8 enemies like in 1 or 2 turns. So it's not really that hard. It's just more puzzle solving than like actual combat sense.
Mhm.
So, besides that, the environment is really cool. The characters are cool. The story is kind of weird, but somewhat intriguing. As it's definitely not the strongest point either. But what I feel is the strongest point is actually the boss fights against like office supplies. Weirdly enough, because this is like one of those moments where like Nintendo's creativity in fighting. So while I did say the fighting is a weak part, that's like just normal combat between Goombas and Koopas, but it's a lot more involved and a lot harder during boss fights, because in each boss fight, the boss actually messes with the playing field, so you have to change up how you're fighting because it's all going to be different. He'll either stop you from spinning the circle around because he put tape on it, or you can't move to specific spots because if you step on it, a rubber band's going to send you 1 space back, and then you can't even turn it off because he stapled 2 pieces together. So you're going to be moving 2 rings at the same time rather than just 1. So
These
it's like
ideas sound like they had to come up with the mechanics, and the dude was like, "Oh shit, that's what I had to do this week." And then so like right before the meeting, he was looking around for ideas, and he just was like, "Rubber bands, pencil, cup, stapler. Okay, I got this. I can."
Well, he definitely nailed it, because it's like that. It was fun and also challenging to beat those bosses, regardless of like that. They're not even like change or anything. They're literally just like a human shaped rubber band ball. It's literally just like a case of pencils and then like a stapler. So it's like that's like I just found that funny. But like each of them have like their own personality. They're all kind of jerks. But like one of the funny things that they said like in the writing is like still there, modern and funny. But like one of the things that the pencil case of like colored pencils that shoot missiles, he literally just says, I liked Mario when he was a side scroller better. So it's just breaking the fourth wall and stuff. So
yeah, well, I could go on a rant about fucking shitty ass modern Paper Mario, but unless there's anything else you want to say on Peach, we need to get started on talking about Western RPG stuff.
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, that was fun. So now that we discussed about the Peach game, let's go ahead and look at our polls. So the polls was, what is your favorite Western RPG? We had The Witcher, Mass Effect, Diablo, Elder Scrolls, Baldur's Gate, and Cyberpunk. Winner was Mass Effect. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah.
I never played Mass Effect.
Blasphemy!
You swine!
Go play it right now.
I have all of them. You can buy the master for
you have no. He has EA Pass. As long as you continue paying for fucking Game Pass Ultimate, you have access to all of them. Go play them.
Yes.
I didn't even need Game Pass. I own those games. I just haven't played them yet.
I'm gonna come to your fucking house and take away Cyberpunk till you finish your Mass Effect.
hold you at rant right there.
You can't have any pudding. Yeah, the Mass Effect was really like. I kind of had like an interesting introduction to it because I did not like Mass Effect 1 and I played it on 360.
Oh yes.
And it just seemed boring and whatever, and like I couldn't really get into like sci-fi. I was more of like, magic, dragons, all that jazz. And I was playing the Dragon Age games, which in company. Then my buddy brought over Mass Effect 2 and was like, hey, you need to play this. And it's like, okay, fine, I guess. And then I beat the whole thing in like a weekend. And I bought all the DLC and beat all that too. And was like, dude, this game's fucking cool.
Yeah, like I had a similar experience in the fact that it's like, it wasn't because Mass Effect 1 was like, I didn't like sci-fi or anything like that. I love sci-fi, especially when it's done well. My issue was, it's just like the first Mass Effect has a lot of like technical issues with it. It was a lot of gameplay stuff that wasn't properly explained. But for personally, like my friend had it on the 360. Blake, if you're ever listening to us, you're really shit at showing off games. Because I went over to his house and he was playing Mass Effect 1, and what he was doing was doing the really shitty part where you're just wandering around barren planets controlling the shitty Mako like that can barely control.
Shot at my turrets.
Yeah, and he's like showing, he's like, isn't this cool? I'm like, no, this looks like ass. Like, let's go play Halo. And so I just never gave it a second thought. And then at one point, I was at my father's house when I was still in school. And I needed something to play over the summertime. And I heard everyone talking about Mass Effect 2. And by this point, I had completely forgotten that the game he was showing me was Mass Effect. And I just heard everyone raving about Mass Effect 2. And I was like, all right, you know what, fuck it. It was a complete shot in the dark. I was like, there's Mass Effect 2. Let's buy it. I'm going to play it. And I fell in fucking love with that game. I loved it so goddamn much. I'm like, this is amazing. And then I'm like, I want to play the first one. And I go back to play the first one. And granted, again, besides its obvious issues in gameplay-wise. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is what the game was. And then I get to the part with the Mako, and then suddenly I had like this epiphany of like him showing me it initially. I'm like, oh, this was the game he was showing me. No, this is good. Not what you were showing me. But I still wanted to just rush through Mass Effect 1 to just make the decisions that affect Mass Effect 2 and yada, yada, yada. But
it's such a good decision-making game, too. Because
it kind of is.
Important.
Well, it seems like it, right, until you play 3, and then a lot of the important decisions seem to not matter a fucking damn. But coming from a person. It's coming from a person who really likes Mass Effect 3, but like the prime example is like one of the biggest decisions you had was in Mass Effect 1, where you decide to whether to kill or release the Rachni Queen. And it's a big decision. It's like one of the biggest parts of the game, not only coupled with the fact that that's where Liara's mom dies, but and you get a lot of information on what Saren is and how the Reapers are. But you think that's going to have like huge implications. And then in Mass Effect 2, they don't really show up except for like a small like cameo, essentially, where they send someone to basically be like, yeah, we're still here and we're waiting for your call in case you need us against the Reapers. And then you're expecting this big thing in Mass Effect 3. And, well, you get to the part in Mass Effect 3 where you have to fight the Rachni no matter what because they've been indoctrinated. Whether or not you save them, it doesn't matter. And ultimately, if you save them, then all they turn into is like a small stat boost and like your war effort screen or whatever the fuck they called it. And that's all it amounts to. And I'm like, well, that's really disappointing for something that's been building up for like 3 fucking games, but whatever. That kind of shit sucks.
DLC for 2 also has like some of the most important parts of the story, and it's not even in the like main thing. Because going to see the Leviathan, or the Shadow Broker, which is still probably one of the best DLCs. Like,
yes, I hadn't actually played that until they came out with the remastered Mass Effect. That was the first time I played that DLC. I was like, oh my god, I regret not playing this sooner. That's amazing.
Yeah, Shadow Broker, and that one, they're so good at naming things because like Shadow Broker just sounds fucking awesome. Like
Reaper does.
And then it's just like this whole, like mob. What's the point of this guy? He's like to know everything. It's like, oh, that's kind of neat. I want her to
fucking
Liara do that and then be on my team. So I have access to everything.
I like the third one. That was the most coolest intros, having that basic intro showing like how bad the Reapers were and that they would just fuck up so much shit so quick. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Warning them like they're coming, and then they're not fucking listening, and then she starts seeing satellite images of something's happening, and then they fucking go offline.
Here.
Yep, and it's like holy fuck, and it blows up that fucking Citadel area place and just flips that desk and shit, and you're just seeing them just fuck everything up. I'm like, holy crap.
Mass Effect is like the greatest I told you so story.
But the thing is like, when you think about it, though, they give really good context as to why the Council isn't necessarily not listening to you, because they spell it out for you in the first Mass Effect when you're like, why won't you listen to me? It's like, Shepard, the 3 of us have, like, what we say and do affects an entire galaxy of people. Like, we can't just do something because you say you saw it in a dream, essentially, which I completely understand. Like, granted, yes, you as the player are frustrated because you're like, no, it's real, but you don't have any proof. You just have Shepard's word, and they can't just, like, uproot society to prepare for the fucking Reaper invasion on just your word.
Are we really going to flip the universe over completely on a trust me, bro?
Yeah, exactly. Granted, and it does turn into "I told you so," but I mean, like I said, that's kind of what I liked about the storytelling is that it made sense to why they weren't listening to him because they don't really have a reason to listen to him stronger than, yeah, you're Shepard, you're a great guy, you do great stuff, but I still think you're just high on LSD.
I fought one. You have to listen. They're like, Shepard, where are the Reapers? Opens the blinds. There.
Yeah, where are the Reapers? Point them out. Do
it. Was it 2 or 3
Giant
with the
space
Krogan?
cockroach crushing the city.
Was it 2 or 3
Well,
when you had
all
the
of
choice of what is it? Breaking that virus? Not the
Curing
virus.
the genophage?
Yeah, curing the
yeah,
genophage.
that was probably the hypest moment in 3, to be honest, even more so than the finale, especially if you have Morden is still alive and everything. That's great.
I did not.
Was Rex still alive?
I don't remember.
Because here's the thing.
He was still alive.
Okay, then you're a horrible person. If he's not alive, you are completely justified. If Rex is still alive and trying to lead the Krogan into a better place, then you're a fucking terrible person.
I also killed all the Geth.
Yeah, I did too. Well, I mean, I saved him at first,
like,
but then the final decision of the game made me kill them.
I was the first time playing it. I did the Geth.
Oh.
And I thought I was like, uh-oh.
I totally forgot that Legion was on my ship. I did everything, and I was like, there, I did it. I got all the characters. I beat the thing. Nobody died. And then they go to the funeral scene. I was like, who died? It's like, oh, Legion. It's so sad. And I was like, who the hell is Legion?
Legion's cool.
Beep, boop,
Like, oh, it's the robot that sleeps in the broom closet. And it's like, oh, no wonder. I never walk over there on the damn ship. And then
you're
I know that Tali is
Legion's cool. You know what's funny about Legion? You know what's hilarious about Legion? This is part of the thing that I like about the Shadow Broker DLC in Mass Effect 2 was you get to see little profiles on everyone on your ship, and there's one on Legion, and he goes in online games and he keeps getting banned for cheating because he's a robot because he gets too good at the games. So he keeps getting banned for being an aimbot and shit like that. It's really funny.
Yeah, that game, the lore is so good, and I think audio logs for everything.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is like you could literally get a lot of information on the first Mass Effect just from the second one, just of how much detail and shit you can look at. It's like just
they had a great codex. It's like one of the first games that the codex. But the thing is, they give you enough information just playing the game where you understand everything at least on a basic level, and it really just if you want something extra, go to the codex. And the codex is fully voiced encyclopedic entries. It's like this is really cool. This is one of the coolest codexes I've seen. Yeah.
I'll just sit there. It's like the only game I think I've ever wanted to sit there and be like, yep, let's just listen to shit.
Yeah, I love it. Mass Effect is like my favorite Western RPG. Segue.
You say a favorite audiobook.
The audiobook, yeah. Well, it has a couple good books actually. I read them. But
one of them the Adepts or whatever.
Yeah, pretty good book. Anyways, especially because I think maybe video game book adaptation should be its whole episode because that's basically what got me back into cyberpunk. But anyways, we wanted to talk about, since we spent an episode defining what a JRPG is, I think it's only appropriate that we spend an episode talking about Western RPGs in a really broad sense and kind of what we think they are, because genre talk is really confusing.
Colorless and very American.
Well, here's I guess to start it off. So say what now?
No, so was that his description?
That was the description.
Yeah, it was made in America. So I guess to start off, we can recap what we think a JRPG is, which in the really basic terms, it was lots of focus on story, had a lot of content, lots of side quests, mini games, stuff like that. I think the biggest thing has to do with story, especially when I think about JRPGs to Western RPGs, because JRPGs, the story is kind of presented to you. You're not really taking an active role in it. You're watching the characters interact and going, and you're playing the game from place to place to do it. You're not making any decisions essentially on how the game is playing out.
Story beats.
Yeah, it's the game is always going to play out the same way. You don't have any kind of influence on it. When I think of Western RPGs, and whether or not you like create a character. It's like a preset character. Usually in Western RPGs, the player is tended to be a lot more involved, a lot more decision making's happening. At the very least, to have you pretend like you're influencing the plot. Because when I think of Western RPGs, I think what most people think of is probably the easy go to, right, is like Fallout, Skyrim, anything from Bethesda is like a textbook example of what I think a Western RPG is, essentially, where you create a character and it's just kind of like a really open-ended experience to kind of make your own fun, as in the story and characters itself aren't really like that important in the grand scheme. What's more important is that just getting you into a world to just, let you run around and have fun, not really worrying about story beats or anything like that. I mean, how do you all feel about that? How do you define a Western RPG as opposed to a JRPG?
Well, I kind of looked up like a small list of like Western RPGs, and a lot of them pretty much just scream, "Make your own story."
Yeah,
because
it's essentially what I was getting at.
Yeah, it's just like Fable, Skyrim, The Witcher, Baldur's Gate, and like Borderlands is like essentially make your own story, make your own decisions, and
even
your own
Western,
and all that.
Even Western RPGs like The Witcher, where you're playing a pre-established character in Geralt, you still like actively participate in the conversations. You're deciding how the quest outcome happens. It's like you are affecting the story of the game, even though you're playing a predefined character as opposed to make your own character sort of thing.
Yeah. I think that, like, for me, when I'm like playing them, or at least any of the ones that I've played in the past, I mean, a lot of them come from like the D&D world too, like just spin-offs of that, franchise. Yes, you have like a smaller cast of characters. You're more involved in like the way the story unfolds because it's kind of more like personality driven, where it's like, what would you actually say in this kind of context? And then you kind of get the responses you're looking for. The stories are more or less in comparison to be like not as high stakes. I mean, because yes, it's like, oh, they're going to awaken like a demon or whatever. But like, in JRPGs, they always go all the way to the end and being like, oh, we have to fight God now. But like a Western RPG such as Fallout, like, the purpose is to find your dad, and it's like, it's not like, oh, and then what? Oh, we have to fight God after. I just need my dad to help me. It's that's the purpose. It's less about companionship and more about like the adventure itself that you're about to go on. And the game that I was playing today to get footage, which is really surprising, and I'm kind of glad that I got up to play it, but was Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2 on PS2. That game is very surprising, and you're just one character, and everything's voiced for a PS2 game, and the voice acting is actually good, and the graphics are okay, but like, the other thing that these Western RPGs do, at least in this style, is it's about finding as much gear as you can, and like just building like a tank essentially with like rare gear and all that. Because JRPGs are like, there's probably like 10 weapons in the whole game, and you're just finding them as you go throughout, and then there's like one ultimate weapon that you do a quest for. But like, you might be prepared, it's like, oh, I'm a dual wielding swords person, blah blah blah, and then it's like, well, I found this legendary bow, maybe I'll just change my entire character to be like an archer. There's more. It's more or less linear storytelling and more of a focus on like what you're doing in the world, I suppose.
Oh, go ahead. Go.
I was gonna say, like, it had a kind of like a serious tone too in Western RPGs compared to your JRPGs. JRPGs seem more open, fun kind of thing, where you're doing the journey. There's a lot more things that are, I guess, like more into like a comic book standard. But then, like, when you're looking at Western RPG, then you're talking about that. Yeah, you're fighting dragons and such, but it's like, it's not like funny really. It's usually a serious matter that you're trying to take care of. Versus the JRPG can be serious at times, but there's always like comedic or fun forms of ways of enjoyment throughout the journey. Versus the Western RPG, it's kind of like a serious task. We got to get it done, and you have a serious story.
Yeah, it's that
Yeah.
anime blood bleeding into JRPGs because again, it's like we have to stop Sephiroth from blowing up the planet, but first, beach scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're
I
gonna
gotta
have
play
fun.
cards.
Yeah. Let's go to
Yeah.
amusement park.
Granted, Gwent is, Witcher. So,
And again, to keep in mind for everyone when we're talking about this, as I've said when we first started talking about genres, genre is so hard to define, and obviously there's exceptions to every rule, and that's exactly why we have subgenres on subgenres to the point where I even think genres are kind of useless at this point. It's a game is a game, whatever the fuck it's about, just describe it. Because it's like with the Citadel, we'll go back to Mass Effect for an example. That same thing happens in Mass Effect 3 with the Citadel DLC, because it's like we are in the middle of the literal galactic apocalypse, and Anderson sits down Shepard, and he's like, Shepard, thinking you take a weekend off. And Shepard's just like, no. Sir, it's the end of the end of the universe. Like we are not talking about like literally anything less than that. He's like, yeah, but you're working really hard. He's like, I know. It's the end of the world.
You have to take some overtime.
we're just gonna tell the Reapers we're closed for the weekend.
And the Citadel DLC is, and it might even be that reason why the Citadel DLC is my favorite DLC out of any game ever. The context in which it happens is fucking stupid, but but that whole DLC is literally just that. It's just like, it's just fan service. It's just for you to hang out with all the characters you've gotten to know, having funny scenes and doing weird shit that's hilarious. Like, that's the whole point of the entire DLC. And that's a Western RPG as opposed to a JRPG. And in fact, Mass Effect breaks a lot of the rules anyways, because Mass Effect is heavily story-based. Granted, again, still has the choices. You have an influence of how the story happens, and you create your character and stuff, but like, the characters in Mass Effect is like one of its biggest selling points, obviously, as opposed to something like Skyrim, where it's like, where are the characters in Skyrim? It's like Lydia, the mule that follows you around to carry your stuff, and Yarrow Ballin. That's about it. You don't remember much else. You remember killing the fucking dragon, one-shotting it with your OP archer build. That's what you remember.
Yeah. Or just all the weird slow-mo things where it's like, oh, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
Or just plays with Tony the Tiger Cat, and I got my fucking guy super strong, and then it has cutscene. I'm fucking DDT body slamming people with my martial arts. It's this cutscene. I slam in the ground. It's like, what the fuck?
I thought the whole fist fight in Skyrim was just a gimmick, just to beat that guy up in the sewer because he wanted to fight you. Unarmed.
I mean,
I still it was like a whole gimmick.
It pretty much is still like you can make a fist build, but you're actively making the game much harder than it needs to be. And unless you're going to exploit glitches,
yeah,
you can't get super strong.
Jordan kept telling me,
yeah, the restoration alchemy exploit.
Yep.
But and we all have, I like Western RPGs, even though I value story and characters above all else. I mean, I'm still going to give a romp to Skyrim or Fallout every now and again, but ultimately it's like, I feel like I remember JRPGs more, where it's like, I remember stuff here and there about Skyrim or, Elder Scrolls or any other kind of Western RPG, again, Mass Effect kind of being the exception to this rule. To the point where it's like, what did I take away from Mass Effect Skyrim? Is that I really like my first Argonian that I made, and he's basically one of my characters in my D&D campaign at this point, because I liked the pseudo story I made for him. But again, it's like you make your own story in Western RPGs a lot, and RPG in and of itself is like a really broad term, because it's like you could fit what God of War Ragnarok underneath that, but that game is heavily story based. That's not really make your own story. That's you're just along for the ride.
Yeah, and for like these in the genre of the Western RPG, like JRPG has so many different ones. It's just like there's the tactical, there's the regular turn based, there's action combat. And then like Western RPGs, you tend to see like, we have this third person single character adventure game. Like, we got Dragon's Dogma. I mean, you got companions, but then there's, Witcher or third person shooter in Mass Effect. But then you also have like Bethesda games that tend to be first person. I would say that like, what is it? Outer Worlds or whatever. That's a RPG, a Western RPG. Cyberpunk is a Western RPG. If you want to find a Western RPG that's a little bit more leaning on the story side of things in a similar fashion, to JRPGs, those tend to be the top-down games like Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate or Divinity.
Warhammer does it. Diablo does it.
Well, those are ARPGs.
Diablo
And
is
again, we're getting back into that's like
But
subgenre.
they have like
ARPGs.
And maybe this is just another like thing I could throw out there for like what I would consider Western RPGs is they're more influenced by European lore, obviously, but like you'll have more angels, demons type of thing. Like they mention those things in like JRPGs, but like usually in JRPGs, these are like made up gods, but they're not like Eldritch horror. When we got Western RPGs with these made up gods, it'll be like Eldritch horror, things that you're kind of familiar with of lore of things that are already established. Whereas you're going to be introduced to something in JRPGs that you've never even heard of before.
We've seen
mind flayers are literally the main things in Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, how many I have seen it like repeated ad nauseum at this point, but fucking Norse mythology is thrown around so much as like a basis for games nowadays, especially RPGs. Awesome. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I like Norse mythology. And again, Tim, if you're listening, he loves more Norse mythology. Norse mythology is great, but I just want to see other mythologies is all. I just feel like Norse mythology is overdone at this point. I just want to go back to like cool. Egyptian or fucking Greek, Roman, all that good shit,
Greek is awesome.
Norse mythology, being Norwegian myself is the bias here, but the only Assassin's Creed that I really played was Valhalla. Then I was like, this is such a great Viking game with Assassin's Creed stuff in it. Because every time the Assassin's Creed stuff happened, I'd be like, ugh. Okay, hurry up. I don't know what any of this means. I just want to go back to being a Viking.
Yeah.
But, I would say that that's kind of a Western RPG because it follows the same... like, original Assassin's Creeds are different because those to me are like stealth action games. They're not RPGs. But, like, as it evolved into what it is today, Valhalla is very close to being like The Witcher. You get gear... You're doing all these quests for people. You can go to Valhalla and like fight the gods, and it has like a lot of supernatural stuff. And so it's like, oh, okay, so this to me is a Western RPG like The Witcher and stuff like that. Right. However, there is those exceptions, like you mentioned, because games like Dark Souls, which is very European influenced lore, is not a Western RPG.
Hell, people would describe Elden Ring as more of a. It's a JRPG by technicality because it's made by a Japanese company, but it's definitely way more akin. In fact, pretty much all the Souls games are pretty much way more akin to a Western RPG than a JRPG, like any day of the week, because it's about the gameplay and the making your own fun, making your own build experience, as opposed to, God forbid, the lore, which I know exists. All Souls fans, I'm not reading 8,000 fucking item descriptions to get my fucking story. All right,
just watch it. Just watch a 12-hour video on it.
Yeah.
FromSoft is just really good at creating jobs for content creators because they're like, they'll tell them. Everybody,
they're the original like Five Nights at Freddy's like lore. When you just like, we're just going to imply that there's lore, you fill in the blanks.
Connect the dots like the Zelda timeline.
Yeah.
It's like
there's some.
Yeah, well, it's like the.
You go.
Well, it's like the definition or like the basis for like a JRPG and an RPG is that in a JRPG, it's more of an interactive story where you play on a more railed storyline with like a lot of things on the side, just so you're not just stuck doing the story. So like mini games and all that stuff. But in an RPG, it's more of like create your own story, and I feel like the main aspect of an RPG, because it's more Western, and obviously like the way like America is, it's more about creating your own story and more about just making free decisions and expressing yourself. So it's like a lot of the games. You can choose like what direction you want to go. You want to be good or bad. You want to play as a guy or a girl. Do you want to be a wizard? Do you want to be a barbarian? Things like that. So it's just like a lot more free choice than just like a real.
You have like a lot more character creators too. Like a lot more Western RPGs are driven through character creation, and you're not just like oh, the you're the Dragonborn. You know, it's like not really specific, you know, or whatever. It's just like, hey, you happen to be the thing or the guy who showed up on time or whatever.
Something that we might also something we also might thank, you know, Mass Effect for when, you know, you're Shepard. It's like you can choose whatever your first name is, but just so you can have some voice dialogue, so it's not just, you know, it's like, here you are, it's you, hi, you know, and it's like they call you something. It's like it's Shepard, it's the Dragonborn, it's yada yada. It's, you know, if you're playing your own character, they need some kind of like, you know, Wanderer for Fallout or shit like that. Need something to call you if they want to have voice things, which kind of frankly, again, Western, I appreciate in Western RPGs, especially like Dragon Age. This is something that I've noticed has been happening a lot. Again, Mass Effect might be to blame for this because I think Mass Effect was one of the first ones to do like a fully voiced thing, like your character is voiced in talks for every interaction. But when I go back and play Dragon Age, I feel like I have so many more options to say different stuff when it's just text-based, obviously, because they don't have to pay anyone to say them. They just have to type out and whatever the reaction is, you know?
Yeah.
I kind of miss that. I want more things to say or more options to say things because I like being a sarcastic asshole. But I feel like I don't really like going in the direction of everything being voiced unless you really want to go that extra mile. And you can even talk about how like Fallout 4 is like, it gives you options, but like more than half those options you say the same thing, or the difference between saying them is so negligible they might as well not even have been a difference at all, sort of thing. Where it's like, what did we lose by switching to voiced things instead of just keeping everything, at least with the main character, your character, to a text box? Because again, that was also a strength of like Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3. You had a lot more things you could say because your character wasn't voiced. Everyone else was voiced, but you weren't, so they saved quite a bit of money and time on voice acting there, but you're able to say so many different things. That affects specifically Western RPGs because of all the choices you have to choose, essentially. So
yeah. And I forgot about that. I forgot that Fallout was all text on your side. I forgot about that.
Well, the older ones like Fallout 1 and 2 were, but what I think like Fallout 3 and New Vegas, like
Baldur's Gate, the original Baldur's Gate games too, like top-down RPGs where you just have a party.
Yeah. There was voice acting in Fallout 3 in New Vegas, but your character wasn't voiced, but you still got to say a lot more different. You had a lot more options to say different things, as opposed to nowadays it's like 3 options. It's like good, neutral, bad. It's like that's all you have, and essentially at the end of the day, what you're saying is all the same fucking shit, anyways. So what was the point of even me saying like choosing something?
In the Dark Alliance 2 game, the Dark Alliance 2 game on PS2, I mean, it's the same thing. It's like I have options to say stuff, and the NPCs respond based off of what it is that I'm saying, and they're all fully voiced, which I thought was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But the main character doesn't talk, like they don't have to say all these things over and over again. It's just kind of like, do you want to ask about the quest, or do you just want to accept the quest? You know, it's like, okay, that's kind of neat.
Well, like the voice acting and like decision making is one of the reasons that I hated Telltale games for a reason, is because the choices you make hardly made a difference. Like really the only difference it made is how much everyone liked or hated each other. It's like that seems kind of pointless, and like a waste of time. I was like, that's not really story creating or decision making, since everything is just like the same equal reaction. But like in similar time, the Detroit Become Human, like that, it showed you a whole like roadmap of what your decision makings will be. You know, either be continuous or be a whole dead end. But it's funny, like the silent protagonist in like Skyrim and Fallout is funny because at one point you're just talking to an NPC and it's just like they're all calm and everything, and then you say something, complete silence, and then their reaction is just yelling at you, which is kind of funny. But
seriously, go ahead.
It's like I was gonna say, like in Cyberpunk, I didn't know this. I was googling up like biographies of characters. And I didn't know it went this deep, but like your decisions, like obviously affect like characters and also quest lines. Like if you don't ask enough questions, even the blue questions that are just questions, not even a decision, like the orange like the orange lined ones, they do have an impact on the characters because it actually says things like the conversation when you pick the blue ones actually give your character information on that character when you pick blue questions.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. But then also your character's gender also decides like how other characters treat you, because there's the police officer in like the tutorial part. She calls you in to try and get the flathead drone. And I didn't know this, but apparently she's submissive when you're a girl, and she's a lot more dominant when you're playing a dude. And that goes directly to her dialogue, which was kind of interesting to see that on a YouTube video. It's like, I did not know that she had two different sides depending on what character you're playing.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I drawing on my own thing with Cyberpunk. That's another game where the game's like, it's almost shoving in your face how much like this is your story. It's about you, you know. And you know, again, example, you're called V. No matter what your actual name of your character is, you're just V. Yeah. But V can be anybody. It's just a fucking name. Your options to how you go in that game. Again, granted, you're ultimately going to do a bunch of different stuff. But what I do like about that game is that like, a lot of side quests will have like, it's like this is supposed to be a stealth mission, but the stealth isn't like mission fail essentially, because I suck at stealth games. I really do, except for like Dishonored. I'm strangely all right at that one.
You mean rocket launcher?
Yeah, because I'm just like, my form of stealth is that if everyone's dead, no one can say I wasn't stealthy. Because no one knew what happened.
Because they're all gone.
Yeah.
You mean no witnesses?
Yeah, exactly. So I'll run in. It's like it's like you're supposed to do it stealth. You just have to take a pay cut. And I'm like, if I do every mission, the pay cut's going to be negligible. It's like, I need you to sneak in as I'm like ripping someone's head off. It's like, what'd you say? Sorry, you just told me to come here and I started punching.
It's really difficult being sneaky.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the kind of freedom of gameplay, because it's like, that's what Western RPGs excel at, is that like freedom of gameplay, where it's like you could still find like a different experience in a JRPG, especially ones that have like party systems where you have like more than what you can conceivably fit on your team at a time. You know, like the Final Fantasy. You know, let's call upon my minor knowledge of this, but Final Fantasy VII, you have like 5 or 6 companions, and you can only have like Cloud and 2 others on the screen at any one time, right? So like you have a little bit of replayability in the fact, like, okay, instead of using Tifa and the cat, I'm going to use Aerith and Barrett, I think his name is. So I'm going to use them.
Tales is like that too, where you can like kind of, you don't have to play as the main character. You can play as like the others. So you're like, oh, you know, like for Final Fantasy instances, like I'm trying to get all the skills for the weapons that they have equipped. So like I will play as Tifa, because she's not going to do the moves herself, even with the autocast, fast enough for me to want to learn the moves. So, but her playstyle is kind of fun. So it's like, oh, that's kind of nice that I can at least change up my experience in the game by being somebody else.
Yeah, so like it'll change it a little bit, but ultimately you're going to hit the same story beats. All the loot's going to be more or less the same, you know, unless there is some kind of RNG in that aspect. You'll change it a little bit. When it comes to a Western RPG like Cyberpunk, it's like we just said, I'm playing through it as a big, you know, muscle-headed gorilla man, just running in and ripping everyone's skin off their bones. And Edwin's going around with, you know, being a weeb with his blades and shit, and cutting people up and doing stealthy stuff. And not only that, it's like I was excited to play through it again so I could do gun stuff and quick hacking, which is really fun. Or, I mean, it goes back to Skyrim. It's like I want to be a mage this time, or I want to be an archer, I want to be a warrior, or, you know, Dragon Age, or I want to be, you know, again, rogue, warrior, mage. And it changes the entire experience. And even Dragon Age has the additional benefit of being another one of those games with like a bunch of party members that you can also switch out on top of having your main character really customizable. Mass Effect's a little bit like that. Again, Mass Effect is in this weird part where it has a lot of blending elements from both Western and JRPGs. Because, well, it's fun to switch your class with Shepard. I don't think it really ultimately changes a whole lot how you play the game. You're still going to use guns, still use your biotics and tech. It really doesn't change a whole lot. But Western RPGs have a lot of replayability because of the freedom that they allow you to have. And even if it just goes as far as like, I want to see where this other story thread goes because I didn't choose this route last time, which is I think how Telltale lost its magic, right? Because Edwin, he says he doesn't like Telltale. I liked it at first, like a lot of people did. I liked the first Walking Dead. I think Telltale got
oversaturated.
Well, it's not even like oversaturated. Telltale, I think the magic was lost in hindsight because when your first playthrough of that Walking Dead game, you're gonna love it, and I still think it's a pretty decent story. At the very least, you end up really liking Lee and Clementine. But then in hindsight, when you go back and you choose all the things that you didn't choose and you realize how little it meant in the end to the ultimate storyline, you're like, oh, nothing really changed that much. Okay.
Yeah, you still end up with that ending, you know?
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, that kind of sucks. I think hindsight's kind of what killed people's enjoyment of Telltale games. And I mean, other Western RPGs suffer with this too. I mean, hell, Mass Effect suffered with it because of how many people were disappointed by the shit ending the Mass Effect 3 had. I was too. It was fucking shit until they came out with the DLC, which kind of put a small Band-Aid on the situation. But
what a weird instance too, because that was like the only game I think in recent history or ever, I think, where the fan base is like, no, change it, and they're like, okay.
Well, yeah, because they are right. It's the same. I mean, it's almost like a comparison with, you know, when they came out with that Sonic design, and they were like, everyone was like, "No, that's stupid. Change it." And they're like, "Okay," but it's
well,
like,
I mean, it's kind of nice.
Would you compare that to the Mass Effect ending, the Sonic design?
Kinda, yeah, because it was like
Oh
it
my
came
God.
out because everyone hated it.
Play it.
Yeah, everyone it came out, everyone hated it, and everyone was like, "Fucking change it!" And so they came out with a free DLC that kind of added like a little epilogue. Because the point of what made everyone mad essentially was when you read the original vanilla ending of Mass Effect 3, a game that was based on a bunch of choices. Granted, some of them meant more than others, and like I said with the Arachnite Queen, kind of got let down in the end. With your final decision happen, not only was it not between Paragon and Renegade, there was like a third option, but no matter what you chose, it basically invalidated everything you did up to that point. Like, nothing you did mattered. Or at the very least, they didn't bother explaining it to you, which was the whole point of the DLC they added was like this epilogue segment that showed you what happened after Shepard chooses whatever he chooses at the end of the third game, which, try not to be too spoilerino since Edwin hasn't played it. But
Yeah.
after being... They showed what happened based on your choice, which kind of helped a little bit. Didn't help it ultimately because there was still a big problem of how the ending was to begin with. But I hope that doesn't discourage you, Edwin, because the ride getting up to that point is amazing.
It is. It is.
Yeah,
It's more like
the fan base was so bad. It's the equivalent of the people that are like pissed about Last Jedi, because it's like you just gave me like an entire franchise that I really enjoy. And then this is what you did.
Yeah,
It's about the journey, not the
okay.
destination.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I was about to say the analogy I'd give you. It's like being on the best roller coaster of your life, and then you got off the roller coaster, and someone just farted in your face and then ran away.
Yeah. Like, that was really fun. Oh, what the hell is that?
Oh, that's the part I remember. Is a smell.
Yeah, that's the part that you end up remembering. It's like, oh, that roller coaster, that time when they farted on you. And it's like you forget about all the cool loops that you did.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah. God, I remember when that dropped. And it's funny because like when I played Mass Effect 2, I was so hyped. And then when I asked my buddy Lamel, I was like, hey, so when's the third one coming? He's like, oh, like 3 years from now. I was like, man, why'd you give me this now? I really want to play. Yeah, now I gotta wait. And this is so good. Obviously, praise Mass Effect episode here.
Andromeda.
But,
not.
Yeah, maybe not Andromeda though.
Okay,
that's the Last Jedi.
The one that
That's
we
why I
don't
skipped.
talk about. Yeah, the one that we don't talk about. We don't talk about Andromeda.
That game performed so bad, it was received so poorly that they gave us a teaser trailer for a continuation of the Shepard story,
Well,
which we
it's like,
haven't heard anything else about since. So I don't
Right.
even know if that's going on. I'd probably look into it to see if it's actually been like dead in the water or whatever. But I remember them releasing a trailer and it had Tali in them, and they're like, whatever. They're continuing the story, and I was like, oh, cool, characters I like, because I was excited about Andromeda, and I, just like everybody else, bought the game, turned it on, And then I was like,
Returned
wow, the
it.
glitches in it are really bad.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I did the same. I bought it. I was like really excited. I'm like, yeah, more Mass Effect. And I was like, I'm like one of those people. I'm still love Mass Effect to death. And I'm just like, I want to like this game, but it is so shit. I can't. I just can't like this game. It's so bad.
The other problem with Andromeda for me was the setting was in between, I think, 1 and 2, Mass Effects 1 and 2 or something like that.
That's kind
And I was like, then I don't care what they're doing. Because
Well,
whatever their problem is not as bad as what Shepard's doing right now.
It's not even about the problem because the setting is. I think that what the biggest problem with that game is the fact that they dropped the ball on the premise that they had. Because the whole premise of the game is that, you know, within the Mass Effect trilogy, you're within like the known universe, right? But in Andromeda, you're part of this team that's exploring a new galaxy, like completely new. Like there shouldn't be any aliens that you know there. Like they could have done anything they wanted. There was so much potential, and you meet like one new alien species, and everything else just kind of falls to shit.
Yeah. Very samey mission bases, and
well, there was just no interesting. You're in a completely different galaxy. Like you could have had a whole new world building experience, but it's just so fucking boring. Like I don't need a world ending threat. In fact, I kind of like it when RPGs don't automatically be like, all right, you're the chosen one. Everything's gonna fucking blow up if you don't do the thing. I kind of like smaller stakes stuff, but it's like it was just so uninteresting. Like you just don't give a shit. Not to mention the gameplay's ass because they had to switch. I felt so bad for the developers of Andromeda because EA really fucked that game because they forced them to use the Battlefield's what was it, the
Frostbite.
What's it called? Yeah, Frostbite fucking engine as opposed to I think all the other Mass Effects were running on Unreal. And that fucking engine is not meant for RPGs. It works great for first-person shooters, not for third-person RPGs. It was so jank. Everything was glitchy as shit. And from what I understand about it, none of the original people who worked on the people who worked on Andromeda were the same people who did all the DLC for Mass Effect, not the original team. So they had no experience developing an entire game. Not only did they have to develop an entire game, but an entire game and an entirely new engine that it's not meant for, which was kind of how that game fell apart, at least from my perspective. And it's not even like when we were just talking about Cyberpunk. It's like, is it good now? I'm like, no, because it goes beyond just the gameplay. It's still the story, the characters. They just drop the ball on everything. It's terrible.
Yeah, and I don't usually have like the that feeling of like, wow, I don't want this. I'm mad that I bought this. Like I've had that on a few games, but like, you know, that's definitely one of them where it's like, you know, you get it. I think I played it for like 5 hours and then I was like, fuck.
Yeah, I think I got to the first segment when you're in the fucking shitty driving segment where the fucking vehicle's slower than my dead grandmother. Like I was just like,
killed
no.
by people that weren't even in the map, and then I can't progress because there's enemies nearby, and it's, you know, the Skyrim joke here, but I'm just like, I can't even shoot him because he's shooting me through the mesh of the cave because he's on the other side of it, just in the void of 3D space.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it was just a fucking mess. I mean, the demo I played of the JRPG today, the Saga game, was the same way, where I played it for maybe like 30 minutes and died, and I was like, yeah, I will not buy this. Like, I don't even want it on sale. Like, it's just, I do not like this game. Somebody out there loves it because the franchise is running forever, since Romancing Saga on like Super Nintendo or whatever. But, yeah, it's really bad when it's like a franchise that you love so much and you're so hyped for the next one. And I know that people have had that feeling with like Halo when they got like any of the newer ones, like Halo Infinite. I know it has like a very mixed fan base because they were really hyped for it, and then they're like, oh, they didn't even release the main story, or they were going to do these things. They keep changing it, and they drop like the multiplayer separate than the story, and
it is.
I don't know. We waited 7 years and we got Kingdom Hearts 3. I know the feeling.
Yeah.
Like,
Kingdom Hearts 3 was another one where I was like, I don't really like this as much. I mean, I had fun playing it, but then I when it was over, I was like, I had the same feeling of when I started it, and it wasn't like I'm excited. I was like, maybe now I'll know what's going on, and then like the game ends, and I'm like, nah, I still don't know what the hell's going on.
I know even less than when I did when I started playing this.
Yeah.
I think that speaks to I wanted to say that like Western RPGs have been going downhill a lot lately. We're only now recently, like just now with the release of Baldur's Gate 3, at the end of last year, like starting to kind of see a resurgence in Western RPGs. And not to say that Larian hasn't been producing good stuff in the background, because Divinity 2, for what it was kind of just Baldur's Gate 3. It just never caught on as much as Baldur's Gate 3 did.
Yeah.
But since Baldur's Gate 3 caught fire and it's like kind of showed, the video game landscape again, it's like, this is what Western RPGs can be, people. These are its strength and opportunities that you can do. Yeah, it's like, this is what we used to do.
Steered away from them so far, and then you get it back. And, that's kind of nice, because that was most of the games. Like, I remember playing Pool of Radiance, the Baldur's Gate games. Champions of Norath is a really 1 and 2. That was something I know me and Jordan played a lot. And me and Jordan also played Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 1 a ton. And I was really excited for the new Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, but it's not the same game. It's a third-person, 4-player co-op Destiny-style thing that came out with a bunch of stupid-ass glitches. And I remember seeing like Angry Joe video on it and all these other people, and I'm just like, this doesn't look fun. This doesn't look like what I used to play.
Yeah, we're just starved for originality and quality.
Well, it's because all the games have just been shit. Because it's like, we're in year 10, 15, 35 of Skyrim, and Skyrim wasn't even like that big of an improvement over Oblivion. Like, as I'm in the camp of that, like every Elder Scrolls like entry has been worse than the last. And don't get me wrong, I'm not even going to blow smoke up anyone's ass. I played plenty of Skyrim. I've played it a lot. Like everyone else, I've bought it like 3 times. Skyrim isn't a horrible game, but I like Oblivion better than Skyrim, as I like Morrowind better than Oblivion.
Morrowind does need a remaster.
And like when it comes to Fallout, again, I've played plenty of Fallout 4. I'm not going to lie to you and say I haven't, but compared to Fallout New Vegas, it's shit. And Fallout New Vegas is amazing. Fallout 3 is meh. Like Vegas is like what it is capable of, but Fallout 4 doesn't deliver on it. Skyrim doesn't deliver on what Elder Scrolls is capable of. Now, we've been riding off those Bethesda games for years, not to mention like the other Western RPGs, like more RPG mechanics get taken out of them as they go. You can even see it with Mass Effect. There was so much more in-depth I stats and armor and weapons in Mass Effect. Yeah, and then it just kind of got reduced to like a small skill tree is all we had as far as RPG elements went, and you could choose your weapon. Like that was it.
I was actually going to say that's a nice segue into this topic, but something that Western RPGs do that I really enjoy, and this is kind of what makes me play them, not over JRPGs because I play everything, but JRPGs are very linear, and I'm finding items like I know there's the best gear and I'm going to find it for my characters and that, but something on Western RPGs is there's so much like stats, like customization stuff. Like when I level up, even in that PS2 game, it was like, all right, you got some points. What skills do you want? You got 20 something skills. Which one are you going to pick? And it's like, oh shit. Okay. I guess I'll get Ice Hands and Raise Dead. And then it's like, now put some points in your like health, strength, intelligence, whatever. And it's like, okay, cool. And then you find gear, and then the gear changes on the character. Most JRPGs, the only thing that changes is the armor or the weapons. But like this PS2 game has full models for every piece of armor that you put on your character. And it's like, it makes you, you're building that's what we've been kind of talking about. And that seems to be the focus, is like, you are going on this adventure. So what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And autonomy.
That's what I like about it, is like the skills are usually like vast. That's why the Cyberpunk skill tree enhancement was like so welcoming, because before I was like, what the hell does any of this mean? But now it's like so organized and great. And like Diablo has a skill tree, and Baldur's Gate doesn't. Well, Baldur's Gate has it's not a skill tree; it's a skill list for the Dark Alliance, I should say, not the newest one. I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3 yet. I know that's one that I have to get around to.
Mine's finally going to ship soon. I'll have it soon. I'll play it soon. Eventually, months and like 6 months after everyone else has played it, because I wanted a fucking physical copy.
I would almost say that Western RPGs are more replayable. I think we did say this too, but they're more replayable than JRPGs, but they are tremendously shorter. if you were to do the main storyline, it's not really that long because it's all about all the extra shit you're going to do. Because like Skyrim, you just walk around punching mammoths and try not to get killed by giants and stuff. Like I played that game for probably 40 hours before I even saw my first dragon because I was like, for a game with dragons in it, I don't see any. And then it's like, oh, you have to go to the throat of the world and do that quest first. And I was like, oh, damn, I've already been like all over this map and I haven't even done that quest.
You don't even have to do that. You just have to do the thing where you beat the first dragon. After you do that at the little watchtower, you don't have to go up to the graybeards. You just have to you defeat the first dragon. That's when they'll start spawning.
Yeah, because I was just like, I was like, oh, I haven't even seen one yet, and I'm level like 40. And so it's like, you know, but that's the point, right? Is like they want you to do like the mainline thing. If you wanted to beat Skyrim, you could probably do it very quickly, but they know you're going to join the guild of like the mages or the thieves or whatever. They give you all these different little side options and stuff like that. And I know a lot of people play the games in general just to do one of those things because they want to, you know, almost like their your role playing is RPG, but you know, as their own little like D&D session, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to make this cool character and I'm going to try to be the thief leader and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And like, it's just way more, it's way more customizable. And that's kind of what I like about those aspects, specifically skills and gear. Cause I'm a loot whore. I slam the square button all the time.
It's like, but they take all of that out. And that's what I was getting at is that like, they take out that loot or just make it so generic that it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's like it's not exciting anymore. Like people aren't scared of numbers. Gamers like numbers, like seeing big number, but they also like knowing why they're getting big number, you know? Because it's like I feel satisfied when I'm making a build for a character and it ends up working out. Like I said, we're seeing a resurgence because we have Baldur's Gate 3 from Larian that if it's anything like Divinity, is very in-depth with all of its, because like I said, I can't even say I've played it. I haven't. I've played Divinity 2 though. That there's so much in-depthness when it comes to your skills, your stats, your weapons, your armor, your charisma, all this other nonsense, that there's so much to keep track of. But people like that. And now that Baldur's Gate 3 has come out and shown that, you know, everyone isn't afraid of that, maybe they'll go back to it. I mean, again, Dragon's Dogma 2 has come out. Again, haven't played Dragon's Dogma 2, tried Dragon's Dogma 1, and if it's any nearly as confusing as all the fucking pop-ups from fucking Dragon's Dogma 1 made me to believe it was, there's a lot of systems in that game too with a lot of numbers to keep track of, and people are loving it. So we're seeing like this resurgence of Western RPGs that aren't afraid to, by the way, Dragon's Dogma, again, made by a Japanese company, but is definitely more of a Western RPG.
Inspired by Germanic like lore.
Yeah. And people aren't afraid of numbers. They want like more RPG elements. And that was what we were talking about earlier. It's like how many games have RPG elements? It's like people were scared of making a full-blown Western RPG. A lot of games have RPG elements because they understand that people like experience leveling up skill trees, like skill trees are in every fucking game now. Skill trees are everywhere. It doesn't matter what genre it is. Yeah, because they want a sense of progression.
Filling a bar. Because like I played Evil West, and this isn't an RPG. This is just like a third-person shooter game, kind of like Gears. Mm-hmm. But you have skills that you like. You know, you eventually spec into stuff to make moves that you have better. And it's like a steampunk vampire hunting game. The thing about that game to me is like it's very awesome because it reminds me of like all the cool games. Like if I was 14 and playing that, I would be like, this game is fucking amazing because that's like the target audience of when I was playing like Darkwatch,
I love Darkwatch.
But like that game, you could just remove the skills and just do ammo and guns like Gears of War, and you wouldn't really lose anything either. But like I feel like a lot of people are just stapling these, fill up this bar because it kind of keeps you going. It's that mobile phone, mentality thing where it's like, I'm almost there to the next one. And then they use that to like sell you shit where it's like, oh, buy this double XP, whatever, that kind of crap. So,
well, I mean, it's like, it goes as simple as just like, what do we do when we're playing, Apex Legends, Fortnite, all that stuff. It's like we're filling up a bar, the level up battle pass bar, because you want to fucking see that numbers go up. I personally couldn't give a fuck. In fact, I kind of hated it because if I remember correctly, don't quote me on this, but I remember I could have sworn that I heard from somewhere, again, like I said, I just random memory I have, so it's not gospel, that Overwatch originally wasn't going to have any progression system. Like, it was just, it's a game. You play it to have fun, right? But because so many people wanted a progression system, they added that level up, like account leveling system, where every time you leveled up, you got a loot box. They added that system in. Like, just because people wanted it. And I'm like, I don't think y'all know what you wanted. Granted, I'm not completely...
The second one?
No, I mean, kind of, sort of. They added that. Don't ask me, but they added so many different progression systems in the second one. It's confusing as shit now.
Well, I'm not sure about what it is now, but before it was just loot boxes, and then every time you gained a level on your account, it would go up to like a higher rank in like your playability and like how much you play. It's kind of like your account level, not your competitive level. But every time you level up, you get a loot box. But then they removed the loot box because there was so much controversy on it, and then they just completely removed it for a battle pass in the second one.
Which, once again, I stand here above all other Overwatch players and be like, are you happy now? You're not. This game is fucking garbage.
Yeah, the game sucks. So the loot box battle pass doesn't matter. Your game sucks.
Yeah, I'm sitting here. I'm just like, yeah, you got rid of the loot box, guys. Give yourselves a pat on the fucking back. You know what else went with it? Literally everything. The game's dead. Fuck off. Anyone who's still there as a player base is just a fucking like they're in like an abusive relationship at this point. They just don't know when to or how to leave. It's just Stockholm syndrome. This game's fucking shit.
It could easily come back if they actually like go into like a PvP and not charge people for it like they fucking promised.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole different subject, but it's just like, yeah, that's what made me. I'm still gonna be in it. Like, I fucking boycott Blizzard shit. I absolutely refuse to pay for or play anything they put out because they fucking lied. This is just like, yeah, we're gonna make Overwatch 2 for PvE. We're not doing that anymore. Fuck you. It's like, cool. Don't you have fucking integrity, you piece of shit? You fucking added Diablo 4 to Game Pass. I'm still not gonna play it. Fuck y'all.
Man, that's such a shame too, because I watched that Diablo 4 trailer like 1,000 times.
I don't care. Yeah, they make great cinematics. I'm like, when they do something good, I'll clap for them. But still, fuck off. You don't get my money anymore. Yeah. You kiss my ass.
No, because I played Diablo 3. I played Diablo 3 pre-auction house nonsense. So like back when they were allowing players to just sell shit for real money.
I only played it post, so I never experienced that.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, I played Diablo 3 once. I know that's a game that's to be played over and over again, but I typically do that anyways because I play so many games. That's like, oh, I've completed this one. I put it on the shelf. Sometimes I'll go back and play something else. Most of the time, it's a Dark Souls game. Probably just Dark Souls 1 or whatever. But like we said earlier, the replayability too for Western RPGs, I feel like they're meant to be picked up and played over and over and over again. But I don't do that often. That's just not what I do. So it's like, if I'm going to be down for the ride, like, it really has to hit a lot of checkboxes, and skill trees and gear classes and stuff. I just eat that up all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a sad world, most Western RPGs. Like I said, we're having a resurgence thanks to Baldur's Gate and Dragon's Dogma, kind of reminding people of the potential of Western RPGs. And a little bit, and it's here and there, because Witcher 3 was really well received, right? Everyone liked Witcher 3, even though it's a little bit different, because Geralt's a pre-established character. You do have influence on the story, obviously, but it's obviously not as free as something as like Baldur's Gate.
The Witcher games also are like subject to the evolution in play style, because the first one is dramatically different than the third one.
Oh yeah, it's definitely, there's a reason why 3 was the popular one, because it was way more easier to resonate with the general audience. That was an example where toning it down was actually a good thing. It wasn't as confusing for people. Which I guess maybe that's what they were afraid of when they started taking RPG elements out. But again, we're already seeing, I guess people are ready for it to be a thing again because Baldur's Gate and Dragon's Dogma. So hopefully going forward, I mean, hopefully in the next Elder Scrolls, it'll actually be a step up for once, which, by the way, that fucking teaser trailer dropped God knows how many years ago at this point. We still haven't heard anything about that.
Well, I haven't even, and this is a game that none of us have even brought up this entire time, but Starfield. Like, I don't know.
Because it's shit, anyways.
No one's talking about it, and I'm not saying we got to get into it at all. I don't really even know what to say about it, but like,
because it's shit. No one cares.
Souls games, it's kind of sad they drop them, and then it's like, I know what I'm getting into before I even played it. Like,
yeah,
and my expectations for stuff is kind of low because it's more of a, like, I'm not saying that Skyrim's bad. It's just kind of like, well, what else you got?
Well, okay, here, I'll do it for you. Skyrim's bad. Like, especially compared to other games. Again, I feel like Bethesda, unfortunately, it's almost like Telltale. It's the power of hindsight. These things are good on like one romp through, but then you see something that does what they do, but way fucking better. You look back and be like, wow, that was shallow. You know,
well, it's like Breath of the Wild, right? And this is it's such a deviation from the typical Zelda formula, but I really love getting all the gear, and that's just the thing that I enjoy. In that game, you don't really have any skills either, but like finding things to increase your health and increase your stamina and just kind of fucking around. Like, they really were like, what if Zelda had these Western game elements in it and just threw it at it? So it's like, maybe we'll start seeing more of an amalgam of like these types of things to make these games like a little more unique and kind of evolve. Like, I would love to see the Legacy of Kain series kind of get a revival with like a Witcher approach. That would be really awesome. Especially in like a world of remakes. Yeah, Soul Reaver. Because like Soul Reaver is more of a Zelda-like type of game, but like they could totally be, and that third-person open world kind of like Legacy of Kain kind of is that way, and as long as the open world isn't like, climb tower, do thing, because like not the Far Cry elements of open world, but like, I wouldn't mind venturing out as Kain on this like gothic vampire tale. That'd be really cool in modern day graphics and stuff.
That's like the same thing with like shows and stuff, where it's just like America is trying to, well, I keep saying America, like the West is trying to get more anime-ish, while the East is trying to get more universal with what everyone else likes. Like, even if it were to like deter from being less anime-like, just being more Western in that sense, and then and like video games would have like the same universal appeal to like have aspects from one thing and then have the same thing that it's always had, but it's just to like incorporate things from everywhere into one, or things that would fit.
I mean, to not get too into the controversy, but this is tangentially related to the like Stellar Blade controversy / argument of things about one of many subjects that we can get into, but not necessarily right now. But it's just like, I almost feel like it's kind of the opposite, like the overseas companies, comparison to us, obviously. So like the Eastern companies, JRP people who, Japanese companies and whatnot, sticking to their guns. I know Stellar Blade's a Korean-made game, but either way, sticking to their guns and what they know, as opposed to bending a knee to Western ideology, like changing Western ideologies and changing for their stake. They're just doing what they want to do, and they're finding massive success in doing it. I don't really want to get into the controversy, but it's just like, Western RPGs have suffered because of unfortunately, because politics keep weaving their way into video games, which sucks. I wish people would just throw it out altogether. We can just do whatever we want. Either way. But it's just like this stuff gets demonized, and therefore we don't see it anymore in Western RPGs because they feel like they have to take it out, or else they're going to get canceled on social media or shit like that.
I mean, a lot of it is like up to their choice. Like, obviously,
they can hold their ground.
Catering is a complete waste of time. Like, obviously, make your thing, get your audience, and stick with it. Don't try and like change it. Like, you have your audience, just make it grow. Don't like try and get like someone else from the complete opposite end. If they hate you, they hate you. Fucking deal with it.
Yeah.
But
because they're not your audience anyways. Like,
yeah, it's like the thing with like Starfield. It's like literally, I was like, anyone who defends it keeps bringing up that chart of like, oh, this is a 9 out of 10 game. I was like, okay, yeah, but what's the player count? What's the sales numbers? I was like, how well is it actually doing?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like literally just make your thing, be original. Don't be an idiot. Just get your audience and stick with them. Otherwise, you're just going to lose everything entirely.
Mm-hmm. It's sad. Yeah, so, like, we have, the biggest reason I don't talk about Starfield is that it's just Bethesda again. Bethesda has not evolved with the times. Their formula is the fucking same. Yeah, it's Fallout in space, and it has no style either. It's like, what's the style? Space. It's like, it's not even like Alien, where it's like, what can I describe like Alien? It's like Alien's, like Alien's like generic sci-fi, but it has this retro element to it, where all the computers are like old school and stuff like that. But it's still a sci-fi, like futuristic experience. It's very grungy, you know. It's
sci-fi futuristic experience, and everyone's just making dick ships.
Yeah. Are you telling me that's not what we would do in the future if we had this technology?
Someone's going to do it.
Yeah. But it's just like it had no style. The story's retarded. There's just nothing. And like the biggest my biggest praise I gave Starfield was that it made me go play No Man's Sky and realize how much work they've done on that game and how much I like it better than Starfield. Yeah. Because, I mean, for fuck's sake, it's a space game about exploration, and there's a fucking loading screen separating, like, taking off and landing. Fucking No Man's Sky figured that out day one when it was garbage to how to fucking, like, take off and land in a seamless transition between planets. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
And it's not even like I don't need 9 million planets to explore.
I know, I don't need it either, but, like, fuck me.
Time. And most of them are not going to have anything on it anyways. So, like, if you pull, like, what Outer Worlds did, like, it have just these hand-tailored experiences of, like, a couple places that you can go. It's like, oh, cool, now I feel like I'm doing space things. The game does have a unique style to it, and it's, like, you know, I love it. So, you know, that's that. And you can play it a bunch of different ways, so it has all the... It just checks all the boxes that we were talking about.
Yeah, Outer Worlds took me a few tries to get into. I tried playing that game like 2 or 3 times, and I just couldn't get into it, because I almost would argue that it doesn't have a lot of style to it. It's kind of boring. I don't really find the whole premise interesting. The only thing that made me like that game was that when they were boasting about, it's like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. You can kill whoever you want, and the story will progress forward. I'm like, I am going to test that to the nth degree, and just went on a serial killing, murdering spree my way through that entire game. Everyone I didn't even talk to anyone. I just no talking, only kill. And yeah, you can beat that game by just murdering everyone in your way. You'll find a way to progress the story forward, because normally you'll just find a note in their pocket. Because I will appreciate the game for doing like, all right, go talk to this person. It's like, okay, go talk to person. It's like, all right, they have a thing you need to land on this new planet. It's like, okay, I'm Mr. Guy. Mr. Dude Man, I need the thing you have so I can go to this planet. And they're like, all right, well, I have the thing you have, so I need you to do a favor for me. And I'm like, do you have it on you right now? And it's like, yeah. In your pocket? Yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. That's all I need to know. Brings out giant hammer and goes on a murder spree, takes thing and fucking leaves.
That's what bothers me so much about like the story and like JRPGs. It's just like, it's like you need this one specific thing that this one guy has. Otherwise, you can't save the world. But then that one guy has it and he won't give it to you until you do something for him. Like, the world's going to end. Just give me the goddamn thing. No one cares about your shit. It's not
give me the weapon. Let me use it. I'll give it back to you, because either I kill him and then you can continue having a customer base, or all of us are going to die.
Well, here's the thing.
That'll be 100,000 gil.
Yeah. But here's the thing. It's like that... I can see to a certain extent, because JRPGs get away with it because you're not the character. It's like, would Cloud ram his giant sword through this man because he needed the key to this fucking door?
No, yeah, because he already agreed to whatever dumbass quest it might be. He's like, well, your daughter has a cough. Let me go get her butter from a mountain that's 2 billion miles away. And then he leaves, and you're like, well, I mean, I wouldn't do that, but okay.
Yeah,
that's I avoid it in Skyrim all the time. And they'd be like, can you go find me 20 of them? I'm like, nope, next.
But that's, again, strength of Western RPGs, why people will gravitate towards that more. It's like, I have the option to do that, whereas in JRPGs, you're playing a character who's a good person, who's not going to just around murdering people to get what he needs, despite the danger, because he's a good person, which, again, it's like, we were talking offline yesterday about My Hero Academia and anime, right? It's like, I can sit here and yell at the screen all day why Deku just doesn't just cave in All for One's face right now to just end everything. But it's like, because he's Deku. He wouldn't fucking just murder people. He's trying to be a hero. He wouldn't just murder people. Despite it being the like most clear-cut solution to the problem and what we would do, that's not what the character would do. So that's fine.
It's funny that you went with Deku. It's literally Batman has that issue.
Well, I mean,
Joker,
true. Yeah, true, right? But that's not Batman's way. That's not what he does. You know, in the primary timelines, let's not get into how fucking many timelines comic books have, but that's that's the vanilla Batman, right? It's like Batman doesn't kill, you know, but that's who he is. He just doesn't kill. And he'll stick to his principles despite what fucking
he really
problems
likes
he calls.
Commissioner Gordon, and if he killed all the villains, then Commissioner Gordon wouldn't have a job.
Yeah, he would have a job. I don't want to put the police.
Also, I would be nervous. Like you're doing pretty good if you're just committing some B&Es, some basic shoplifting. You know, Batman's not going to murder you because he's fighting Clayface and Poison Ivy. But once all the main bad guys are dead and Gotham is just down to petty crime, then you got to start getting worried because like, I snatched an old lady's purse and then a batarang cut my head off. Like. Damn it! I wish he would just stop now. But
yeah,
he's just addicted to fight. He's like a crime-fighting cryptid that just works his way down.
He keeps finding lesser and lesser crimes. Where you're just like, he's some dude like sitting on his computer,
jaywalking.
Yeah, he's jaywalking, gets tackled, like fucking gets grappled up by the fucking bat claw. Or you're at home and
your window. He's like, "You're using ad blocker."
That'd be as if they like let Wolverine cover Gotham while Batman's on vacation. Comes back, everything's fucking ripped in half and cut. He's like, "Cut that bullshit."
You do? He's like, "I stopped crime."
Yeah,
isn't that what you do?
It's safer. It's what you
like,
wanted.
no, what?
Batman segue aside.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a huge difference between Western and JRPGs right there. Just despite the, you know, it all leads back to that, like the core concept of it being the freedom of gameplay, decision making, just making your own adventure where everyone's quest through Skyrim's going to be different, you know, as opposed to everyone's going to know the story of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. And I mean, they also use that to their advantage in JRPGs where it's like, if somebody dies, it's like, oh shit. Like, it's usually like very important to the story. Whereas like a game like Two Worlds, which is, you know, not something that I thought I was going to bring up today, but you can just turn into a blender and that whole town is doomed. Or you can do that, I think, in Fable too, right? You can kill people in Fable.
Oh yeah, Fable. You can do
buy their house and rent it out.
Fable, yeah.
So like Fable has the same advantages. Like, oh, I killed the shopkeeper. Doesn't matter. But like, if a shopkeeper in like the JRPG dies, then it's like, oh, that's a big deal because there's going to be a story wrapped around it, rather than like, yeah. So like, I had like 9 shots last night when I was playing my save, and I accidentally killed half a town.
Well, Fable 2 and like I guess also 3, but mainly in Fable 2, where like your decisions start super early. Like your decisions affect the world like right at the tutorial.
Yeah,
Fable's all pretty major.
I was at the pubs playing the bar games.
Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised that we didn't bring up Fable earlier.
Because I don't like it.
And I know we're kind of running for a while here.
No, I like Fable.
I think Fable's boring.
Hurt his feelings.
I've probably hurt Edwin's feelings on a lot of things. I'm not going to stop now.
Fable 1 I did enjoy. Fable 2, they had some stupid mechanic that I really hated because, like, yes, they had co-op and that was cool. But your friends can jump into your game whether or not. I think you have to like lock your game from that happening, but it's like, you know, that's jump in, jump out system. So when your friend jumps into your game, whatever they're doing affects your character's moral ranking instead of theirs instancing back to their world. And I remember I was blacksmithing, and all of a sudden I started growing devil horns, and it was saying child services is coming to take your kid because you can get married and stuff. And I was like, what is happening right now? And then I just hear my roommate laughing, and it's Dakota, and he came into my world and just started killing all these people in town, and then he left. And I was working to have like 100% positive playthrough because I was going to do like the pure play on my first run. And in 10 minutes, he ruins the whole thing. I lose my family. Like,
I love my family.
And I'm just like, my wife's dead. My kid's being taken away. I'm just like, what the hell? The whole town hates you. And I'm just like, I was making a sword. I didn't kill any of them. They're like, your friend did though.
Now I'm an alcoholic.
And now I'm homeless. I'm just drinking all the time. I get paid scraps for bar fighting.
But it's very funny because like literally in all three games, you can easily change your morality by just being a landlord of the entire kingdom. Because it was like if you like what I always do in like each of the games is just make a crap ton of money and just buy all the houses and then just put a markup on all of them at 100% plus markup. But immediately I become super evil, and then when I'm done and I get all my money that I wanted, then I put them all into like pretty much free. And then I was like, oh god, I was like, I enslaved all of you and like choked you out of all your money for like a month, and then I gave you all for free. And then all of a sudden I'm an angel.
You're just the fucking Roman Empire. It's like we're just gonna steal everyone else's shit, but our people will go tax free because we just fucking stole all the other nations' fucking treasure and shit.
You unlocked the gamer tag Walmart.
You're fucking turning a Tom Nook.
Yeah.
No, but I was like I choked them out of all the money, then I got all the money I wanted, and then I gave all their properties for free.
Yeah, exactly. Roman Empire. Good job, Julius. Good job.
No, but now I'm a guy. Because I did that. I was like, now you got free real estate.
Again, the citizens of Rome went tax free because of how many people Rome murdered and stole from.
You're welcome.
I guess I know that I haven't brought this game up at all this entire time, but I feel like I just need to say it anyways. Talking about the freedoms of Western RPGs. If you haven't played Kingdom Come, that game is really fun to me.
Ew.
I love that.
Ew.
It's like there's no magic involved. It's not like fantasy. It's like literally just medieval times in Prague. But
it's funny that you say that, but your own dad gave up on the game because because his character would.
He said he was hungry. I was like, you gotta eat. You gotta eat. He says he's hungry. Feed him. But the thing about that game is, I spent so much time playing. I spent so much time playing dice, getting money to buy good gear, and then I ran around finding all of the holy armor stuff so that. Because people treat you differently when you're clean. And so it's like, hey, you look rich. I'm going to be nice to you. Because if you're dirty, then everybody's just mean. And so it's such a funny experience of just a sandbox, medieval times realistic game.
Yeah, it's
you can,
fun.
again, you can kill anybody and you get arrested and you got to get yourself out of jail and shit. And
it's definitely fun and really intriguing because it's literally you feel like you're an actual living person in a town, and every decision you make really does affect you. It's very heavily compared to everything else.
A lot of memeable moments.
Yeah, but the combat in there is probably the most annoying thing to me.
It's so hard.
Yeah, it's weirdly difficult. You don't even have a crosshair for the arrows, for the crossbow, so it's really hard to aim. But it also has the swaying motion because you can't because you level up how much swaying you have. So you obviously get better and better as you do it. But I got so pissed off that I literally just put a sticker right on my monitor. All right, that's my new crosshair. Because I can't aim for shit.
I remember there was a glitch that happened where this lady, she was walking in a river, and she couldn't get out of it.
She was walking on a river.
Well, she was walking in a river because she was going to collect water with a bucket. And then to get out of the river, she was playing a ladder climb animation, and she kept doing it. And so she was climbing up and up, and I was standing there watching her, and I was like, what the hell is this lady doing? She's just floating now. She's probably 30 feet up in the air. And then she steps forward and falls to her death. And just when she hit the ground, somebody walked around the corner and saw me standing next to the dead body. They're like, he killed her! And then ran and told her. I was like, what the hell? No, I didn't do any of this. But it has that, guilty by association thing, because it's if you see a dead body, don't fuck with it, because people will think you did that. And it was, I don't know. It's a really interesting, approach to a Western RPG because there's fantasy. It's just all real.
It's definitely a game made for certain people. Those certain people not being me, because I have limited time in my day, and I need fast travel and other things that make a video game a video game.
No, it has fast travel. Dude, if you're gonna complain about Kingdom Come, you better stay the hell away from Outward. That game is so fucking annoying.
Good thing I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
So Outward is literally a modern RPG with none of the quality of life.
So it's shit.
Yeah, so pretty much imagine Skyrim with no horses, no fast travel, and no quality of life. It was you're gonna be poor for a super long while. Every enemy is gonna be a life or death decision, no matter what level you are, no matter how geared you are. Everything's gonna be a fucking problem, and you're gonna spend 99% of the time walking everywhere, and everything is far shit. No, I was that game has a good. It has a good idea, but everything that it has, the execution is terrible.
I don't need the game to necessarily hold my hand, because I don't like Skyrim's just being able to fast travel from wherever the fuck you feel as long as you're outside. I prefer Cyberpunk's way of doing it, where there's fast travel points. Depending on where I am, I'll either make the decision to go to the fast travel point, or just fuck it, I'm just gonna get on my car and go over there because it'll be faster than going to the fast travel point.
No, but it's and when you play Skyrim and you don't fast travel, there's everything around the corner. So it's there will always be something new. If you're going to walk to a destination, there's going to be maybe 2 or 3 different things across your path that you can also deal with. But in Outworld, there's literally nothing in between, and everything is at least 30 minutes away by walking. But walking is your only option.
Fun.
So that's why I say 99% of your time playing that game is going to be walking.
Fun.
Not fun.
Not fun.
So I think we've kind of nailed what Western RPGs are, is freedom of exploration.
Yes. We've solved the riddle for all time.
Not just a game made in the West, but the approach is more of a simplified game with a lot of extra go do shit.
Yeah,
it's
go have fun, but remember the demon's still coming.
This demon's still coming. Yeah, so next week we'll hit on specific games. I'll try not to be Mass Effect for me, but I make no promises.
You'll just be explaining your favorite games.
Yeah, more or less, same thing. Same approach. Will be a 2-parter episode now that we've kind of established at least what we believe the differences between a Western and a JRPG, at least in a broad sense. Now we can go into a little more depth on why we like certain Western RPGs, which is our favorite and stuff like that. So it'll be another 2-parter.
Yeah. So do we want to go ahead and jump into some trivia?
No.
Okay. Well, that's the end of the podcast then.
All right. Yeah. And then we end the show. Yeah. All right. So question 1. In Mass Effect, an artificial intelligence race known as the Geth was created by who? The Reapers, the Quarians, the Turians, or the Krogan?
It's the Quarians. Like a quarry, Quarians.
Pass.
Quarians. Because my waifu is in there.
Tally, best waifu.
Correct. A nomadic race known for their technological expertise. They created the Geth to serve as laborers and help them in their daily tasks. However, the Geth eventually gained sentient and rebelled against their creators, leading to conflict known as the Geth War.
It's one of my favorite moments is when you learn how it happened.
The Terminators.
Yeah, it's a story as old as time when a civilization develops artificial intelligence to start taking over tasks that they normally wouldn't do, and it keeps going more and more until the artificial intelligence kind of gains consciousness and takes it over. I don't know why it's relevant now. Yeah.
What are you talking about? It's just art.
All I wanted it to do was help me with my homework. Now it's burning my house down. It's eating my kids.
Making meat suits. my favorite moment in one of my favorite moments in Mass Effect is when you actually learn the moment that when they had the Geth walked up to one random Quarian and it's just like, am I alive? And they were just all the Quarians collectively were just like, ah, fuck. God damn it!
We gotta power this thing off
I can't
right
imagine
You
Terminator
have to pass
just
butter.
like just totally eating your kids in front of you, and you're like, "Stop it!" And then it looks at you and just goes, "Try again later."
It's making the next
It's like, oh
iPhone.
no, it's not even connected to the internet. It's like a
If it
dangerous
connects to the
magic
internet,
eight ball.
it's a hive mind.
There you go.
Yeah,
All right.
again later.
All
Sorry,
right,
I
so-
can't answer.
All right, so question 2. In Fallout 3, what is the name of the healing robot at the Citadel? Is it Mr. Handy, Gutsy, Sawbones, or Nurse RL3?
Pass.
At the Citadel.
Don't say-
Fuck. I think it's not
It's
because
not
Mr. Handy,
Handy.
Mr. Gutsy are just overall names for certain ones. I think it's Sawbones. I think it's been a long time since I played
Sawbones.
Fallout 3.
Answer is Sawbones. Located
Oh, hell
in
yeah.
Citadel B-Ring. Sawbones is Mr. Gutsy field medical robot that provides medical assistance to the Brotherhood of Steel and has an almost encyclopedic knowledge of surgery.
Handy.
It also has
Saws
like
your arm
saw.
off.
Yeah, it'll cut you up.
Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, except for saws. Question number 3. The Baldur's Gate 3, what kind of dragon was Ansur, the heart of the gate? Was it a bronze dragon, a red dragon, a blue dragon, or a gold dragon?
Well,
I think said LeBron's dragon.
LeBron.
It's LeBron James.
LeBron James.
Dragon.
Well, I know what those all mean in D&D terms, but like I've said in this podcast, I have actually not played Baldur's Gate 3, so I'm just going to go with gold because gold is cool.
I'm gonna say gold because the red dragon has a different name, and it's kind of I don't know. I feel like it's not the red one, but now it's gonna be because I said that.
Hang on, I got this. Pass.
Oh, I got this.
I thought I was waiting for like really loud key noises, like you're clicking on Google or something.
No, I'll go with LeBron's dragon.
LeBron's dragon.
Holy shit. All right, answer was bronze dragon. Ansur
Hey, you
is,
close.
Ansur is an undead dragon found in Baldur's
LeBron's
Gate 3.
James.
Yeah. Formerly a bronze dragon, nicknamed the Waiting Storm and the Heart of the Gate, Ansur was generally thought to be mere legend.
The Waiting Storm is such a dope name.
Yeah. All right. Well, it does look like we will be.
Hey, this is Corey, and thanks for checking out Mediocre Rumble Brothers. If you liked the video, please drop a like, and if you didn't, that's fine too. If you'd like us to talk about any specific games, drop a comment below, or feel free to discuss your experience with the games that we mentioned in the episode. You can also listen to our episodes prior to YouTube on our Spotify. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again soon.